Yay!
Are we there?
Well, yes, we are. Hello, everyone. Thank you for waiting. I'm Amy, Mystic Rose Tarot. We are doing the astrological version of the Hollywood Squares right now.
Yes, we are.
Got Julie to my left or right.
This way.
Beneath me, my sister, Robin Freeman. To my lower corner, right, left screen, depending on how you're facing it, I have Patrick Fogarty of Living Wheel Astrology cards. We did it. We're here.
Yay.
Yes. So I want to introduce to the audience here. We're going to be talking about true sidereal astrology primarily. We'll throw in some tarot because a lot of us have, tarot viewers and whatnot. And but I want to emphasize a little bit in this conversation so people can understand true sidereal astrology, the wording, but also Western tropical astrology. There are differences, but people are like, well, what does this mean? How does this work? What's going on? So Robin Freeman was kind enough to get a chart of Michelle Obama, and we'll discuss this later on. Her chart with Western astrology versus sidereal astrology, and we're going if she is her true sign or if she is in a different sign with sidereal. So hello, everyone. Jonathan Daly, Creative Intentions, Magical Moon Cat. We have Sadhna here. Sadhna, wonderful to have you here. Gerald, Tarot Stash is here. Let's see who else, because I scrolled all the way down. I think that's who we have right now. We're going to be on for a little bit. So we're going to talk. And then if you have any questions and you want to bring it to the attention of either Robin, Patrick, or Julie, put it in capital letters so it could grab our attention, and I could put it up on the screen, and Robin, Patrick, or Julie can answer the questions, or all of them can answer the questions. So how is everyone doing? How are we feeling as we just transitioned from sidereal Capricorn into sidereal Aquarius? How has it been so far for you?
Spontaneous. In the moment.
In the moment. Patrick.
Yeah, for me, it's a nice transition to sort of I get a real sense of like clearing of the air, like coming out of Capricorn, being so entrenched. It's nice to just sort of lighten up and get into that sort of clear the space kind of vibe.
So it feels we're moving out of that earthy Saturnian energy now. Things are more in the realm of, we're still in Saturn in Aquarius versus Saturn in Capricorn. Well, Saturn that rules Capricorn. How about you, Robin?
I'm feeling kind of like Patrick, just,
Good.
kind of like wading out of it and just kind of relaxing, getting out of that other realm. I lost my earbud again. I'm trying to keep this in.
You know what?
Sorry.
You leave it out, Robin. Leave it out, Robin, because we can hear you. So if it's bothering you, there's no.
Well, if I put it back in, are you going to get that? Is it going to be okay? I mean, if I take it out
now.
Let me see.
I don't hear it now. Should be fine.
Does seem good now.
I don't want you to get that noise.
Yeah, it's all good. So we have this transitional, when we're going from one sign into another. For me, because I work with elements, I feel the energy of earth. Now we're going into air elements. And there is something very special about Aquarius. I don't know for all three of you how the time of Aquarius, true sidereal, feels like for you. I know you mentioned airy, but do you notice something very common that happens when you transition from one sign into the next? Are there some signs that affect you more than others in transition?
I
For
guess I feel
myself, I
pretty.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops, sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead,
No,
Julie.
go ahead. No. You go
I
first.
mean, my short version would be, yeah, for sure. I definitely feel a shift every time that the sun moves into a new constellation. And specifically, I do think it's a pretty significant shift going from Capricorn illumination to Aquarius illumination. And I find this sun in Aquarius period of time to be, I don't know, it always feels, I think, a budding Capricorn and then being sandwiched between Pisces, it does feel a little liminal. It feels lighter than Capricorn, but also like building to like a heightening of the energy of the intuition as well. And I think that's as we move closer and closer to Pisces. But yeah, every transition I always feel a shift and see a shift in nature around.
It's like a higher vibration. I think that's what you're trying to say,
Mhm.
Patrick. That's what I feel.
For sure, higher vibration. Yeah.
I can agree with that. Higher vibration. It's like I feel like I have to race to keep up now,
Yes.
Really?
more so than with Capricorn, where it was mellow, and that's where my moon is, and so everything is kind of like feels right. And now I
Right.
feel like I'm hurrying to catch up with myself
Mm.
because everything is
interesting.
in real time.
Yeah.
Everything is now.
Yeah. It does feel like it's shifted and everything's faster. It's coming so fast. I do feel that too, Julie.
Is this feeling coming because we are at the tail end of the astrological?
Probably.
Not really. We're at the tail end. I'm forgetting we're sidereal. But as we hit towards the end, do we start feeling a momentum of energy with the last 2 signs, 3 signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces?
I think it
I
has a
don't know,
lot.
because
Yeah,
It could
I think
be
it
full moon
could.
energy coming in.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's whatever you are comfortable in, whatever your natal is, and
Mhm.
you're going to be more comfortable there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my moon and my rising are Aquarius. So I think
My
that
moon.
there's
That
a real
probably feels
coming
really good.
home. Yeah, there's kind of
Okay.
a home space kind of energy to it for me. And I also think right now with the real sky and timing, you have to kind of look at that. And the sun moving into Aquarius right now is very much in alignment to the start of the 3-part of the season of winter here. It's the end of winter. We just
Mm-hmm.
started the ending part of the season of winter, or the ending part of the season of summer if you're in the southern hemisphere. And so I think it's quite interesting that as we start that ending cycle of winter in the northern hemisphere, that the sun has rolled into Aquarius. Definitely in alignment there too.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Robin?
I feel comfortable too. I was thinking what he was thinking as far as I'm an Aquarian moon. So, that energy does feel comfortable feeling, being in that. And then I think approaching the full moon and everything, because I always get a lot more energy and a lot more vibrant at that time. I just have,
Mhm.
so many people coming at me too. I can tell when my clients are about to call because I can feel it. It's in the shift. It's in the sky. It's there. So I'm feeling that. Same thing.
I don't have any Aquarius in my chart. Like I don't have a planet or a sign in any of the houses. But there's something about Aquarius. There is like an expediency of things happening. I don't
Mm-hmm.
feel the need of getting things done, but since we came into Aquarius and also a little bit of Capricorn, there's been some movement, and it's feeling at a larger in a larger realm. It feels like things are, for me, becoming more in a community base, which Aquarius is associated with. And I
Yeah.
feel like I'm connecting more with people. Like it feels like now I think it's time that
Yeah.
things are starting to show themselves. But I don't see it in my chart. So this is something as I'm learning the sidereal aspect of a chart and reading it, understanding the movements and where Aquarius is, so on and so forth, in relation to the other planets. But I
Which
do agree.
house?
What's that?
Which realm of houses does Aquarius tend to fall in your chart, if you're comfortable sharing? I know there's not a planet there or a luminary there, but where does it fall house-wise?
I'd have to look.
Yeah.
Because it might be interesting to see if there's whenever I don't have something in a house or in a sign in particular, I kind of look at the house themes to see if there's a resonance.
Oh, if I'm reading this correctly, it looks like it's in the 12th house. But that doesn't make sense because this is with my calendar that I'm working with. It's all sidereal, but it's using a different system. So from what I understand, in my 12th house, it's all Pisces. So the Aquarius here, according to this, I have to explore it because it's using the Lahiri, the Vedic system. So it's the degrees are gonna be a little different.
Yes.
But I feel primarily with the charts that I did, like through Mastering the Zodiac through Athens, it places everything in the 12th house for Pisces. And that makes sense. That makes sense. But for here,
that would
it's 12th
probably
house.
make Aquarius be more 11th-ish.
Yeah. Where it's normally ruled in the 11th house. Okay, so with that aside, we get a feeling as to how Aquarius is and how it relates to you and your moon signs. Patrick and Robin, both moons in Aquarius? Or was Patrick okay. And your moon sign, Julie?
Capricorn.
Capricorn.
Real sky Capricorn. Yeah.
Okay. Hold on one second here. Let's just get right to this question here because it's going to happen sooner or later.
I can't see it.
Okay.
It's how is sidereal astrology different from Vedic astrology? And that's a common question because it's using the constellations, but the way of calculating is different. Yeah. Can anyone tackle that one?
It's the shortest version is that Vedic astrology still uses 12 zodiac signs, and they're still 30 degrees in size. So while they're actually Vedic looking up at the stars, they're not looking at them as zodiac signs. I apologize. They're actually looking at them as stars, but they have still standardized the sizing of all of the stars to be 30 degrees so that it's more.
So all the signs are the same size.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. And in reality, overhead, the true sidereal constellations are all different. In fact, there's not one constellation in the ecliptic wheel that's 30 degrees. So there are no 30-degree signs in true sidereal astrology.
So when a chart is being done for true sidereal, are there any degrees? Are there any numbers that are being used? Or is it just where?
Which one you're using. It depends which program, if there's numbers.
So I'm not sure if that's clear.
Because the one that I have up there.
Should we bring her up?
Does that one have? I don't know if that has numbers.
Okay,
so I have several systems on my phone, but that one I got from Athen. Isn't that his name?
Yeah.
Can't see it. Okay.
Athen.
Yeah, I think it just depends which system that you're using, which program.
Okay.
The constellations all have a specific size, but the systems themselves don't always have congruency between the sizing. So if you're looking at the various systems, if you're looking at the various systems, there's going to be a lot of variety. If you're looking at actual constellation size, there are actual degrees because you have a 360-degree wheel. And so there's only 360 degrees, and every one of those 13 constellations are a certain amount of degree. And so in reality, we like Gemini is 28 degrees and Cancer is 20 degrees and Leo is 36 degrees. And if you add all 13 up, ultimately you get to 360 degrees. But that's actual versus, which is what true sidereal is looking at,
Okay.
versus the systems, which always have a 30-degree sign assignment.
Right.
The systems being Western tropical.
Western,
Exactly.
tropical,
Vedic.
Vedic, and even
Mhm.
tradition, even sidereal. That's why we have to
Sidereal.
throw sidereal. We
True.
have to say
True, because
true
it's different.
sidereal.
Right.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The only one actually using the actual real sky, as Julie has called it, real sky astrology, is
Right.
true sidereal astrology.
Exactly.
Everything else is a standardization or an idealization.
Okay. Robin, can you see Michelle's chart there?
Somewhat.
I don't know if you're able to.
If
I
you
can
pull
tell-
it up on your phone, then you can look at it. Like,
Can I?
because you
I
have
don't
the
know if I can touch my
file,
phone.
right?
Yeah,
Or
I have
your
it. I have
iPad.
it on my phone, but I didn't
Right.
want to.
I'm going to
You
try
have it on
something
your
here.
iPad?
There we go.
Can I?
Because I want to make sure you're able to see this and you can talk. This is actually Michelle Obama's sidereal chart.
Well, I have it all written down, so I'm fine.
Okay.
You want me to go ahead and start?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
All
got
right.
the echo back.
We'll start with the sidereal then, since that's the one. That's the one you have up.
Yeah.
Because you can't put them both up, right? So I'll just go. Oh, can you still? Am I still here?
Yep.
Okay. So I'll just go through the whole sidereal part, and then we'll go ahead and over to the western. Is that what you want me to do?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Just tell me when you're ready, and I'll put up the Western chart.
Okay. So this
Thank you.
is. Let me go back. This is Michelle Obama. This is her chart. She was born January 17th, 1964, Chicago, Illinois. And when I went ahead and did the chart, I'll go ahead and give you what I got from it. The first, in the true sidereal, her sun is in Sagittarius, 12th house. I got with that, she's very adventurous, self-expression, a lot of spontaneity, philosophical, and very energetic. Bounces back after setbacks, but can get burnout. Likes privacy, quiet, meditation, difficulty expressing and only close to a few people. Very deep and spiritual. She also tends to lead a lonely life. And that is her Sagittarius in the 12th house. The moon we have in Capricorn, which is the first house. So with this, I got she's emotionally controlled, self-reliant, independent, unconventional, isolated and committed, prefers friendships instead of intimacy. Very imaginative and in her expression. Her home and family mean a great deal. Very receptive, romantic, and curious. Okay, so her ascendant, Capricorn rising, always appears older. I love this. Always appears older, but she ages like a fine wine.
Yeah.
She's seen as a leader, very ambitious, capable and determined, driven by her goals, quiet manner, but also can intimidate others.
What house is that?
That is Capricorn rising, ascendant, first house.
First house.
Wait a minute. I have to turn this. Hold on. I was doing so good with the iPad.
All good.
Okay. Now we go on to Mercury. Mercury is in Sagittarius in the 12th house. So there, She craves intellectual challenge, philosophical communication, seeks answers to life's questions, contemplative, self-absorbed, worries over unconsequentials, and may be shy. She's instinctive and a researcher. In Venus, we're at Aquarius in the second house. She feels that most romance starts at friendships, believes falling in love starts with the mind before the heart, bold and a very unique style, prospers through social connections, likes to spend on personal adornments, very generous, fair, and honest, can use beautiful things profitably. She likes extravagance on luxury. That was Venus in Aquarius in the second house.
Wow.
Okay, moving on.
Is this
Okay, now
still
we're,
this one? Or
this is still sidereal.
okay. Or
Mars,
something.
and her Mars is in Capricorn, first house, impulsive, independent, dislikes taking advice from other people, ambitious, self-assertive, creative, a force to be reckoned with, does not fear failure. Okay, so we have Jupiter, Pisces in the third house. Expansion through imagination, artistic, lacking discipline and direction, religiously inclined, optimistic outlook, likes to keep busy, not content with a little bit of knowledge, open to new experiences and good relationships with relatives. That was Jupiter. Pisces or Jupiter and Pisces. Okay, so now we are Saturn in Capricorn, first
Wow.
house.
Lots of Capricorn.
Extremely cautious, careful, possessing the ability to plan and stick to long-term strategies, capable of self-discipline, patient, and shy. Okay, so we have Uranus and Leo in the 8th house. Charismatic, leadership, supreme arrogance, creative and original ideas, unusual outlook on life, possible interest in mystical, and can be rebellious. Okay, so now we're looking at Neptune, which is in Libra in the 10th house. Romantic love, but falls prey to disillusion and deception. Mistaken belief that charm is all it takes. Talented in a creative way. Imagination and intuition. Helpful. Possible unusual profession as well for that. Okay, so we have Pluto. Pluto's in Leo in the 8th house. Desire to be self-directed, strong drive toward achievement, combined with the need to analyze, self-reliant, and also resourceful. Her Chiron is in Aquarius, second house. This is the wound. The wound is not being accepted in society. An alienated outsider for troubles in the world. Her south node is in Sagittarius, or Sagittarius is in the south node, or south node is in Sagittarius, 12th house. The soul lived many philosophies and may differ in beliefs. Now it's time to learn to just be who you are. North Node, Gemini in the 6th house, the path of effective communication, soul learning to express itself. That's what that is. Okay, so what I did something a little bit different too. I'm very into crystals, so I added those in. I took her sidereal and her western, did all the signs, came up with the elements. She had 5 fire, 3 earth, 4 air, 1 water for sidereal. And so I would recommend her crystals if I were giving her this.
Mm.
And they would be, and this is for water, for the water element to kind of balance her out because she has only 1 water. Amethyst, boulder, opal, white calcite, pearl, blue lace. I added that in. Amazonite, blue tourmaline, moonstone. Those are the crystals that I added in. Okay, so we can go ahead to the western.
And that's to balance, that would be to balance out.
Yes, the energy.
Okay. She's extremely strong.
Extremely.
Hands down.
Fire. She's fire a lot. Earth,
But I also feel earth too.
Earth,
That Capricorn.
Yep. 4
Just
was
happy.
air. Yep. Yeah, she's strong. Not a lot of water.
I think that's what makes people who are like in positions of power.
Yes.
It's all those earth signs and those fire signs.
Keeps them grounded and fiery.
Yeah.
Ready to go.
Yeah.
I think that really reflected her, but we'll look at the other one and then see what you guys think. We'll look at the western. And
I
then
have it up there for you, for everyone to see.
So this is western tropical. Sun. Well, her ruling planet was Mars. I didn't tell you the first one. In Aquarius, 11th house. Anyway, the sun, we have Capricorn in the 10th house. This is about reputation, career, liking power, practical, authoritative, conservative, ambitious, wants to leave a mark on the world, reliable and rule-abiding, resilient to setbacks, sometimes arrogant, and dictatorial, ability to influence others. So the moon, Aquarius moon, in her 11th house, emotionally unpredictable, independent, unconventional, isolated and uncommitted, prefers friendship to intimacy. That was on Sidereal too. Easy social charm, attracts admirers, emotionally intuitive when dealing with people. Okay, so her Aries rising, her ascendant, she comes off confident, independent, and enthusiastic. Others can see her as aggressive, driven to prove acts of courage, guided by the desire for freedom. Okay, now we're going into Mercury. It's Capricorn, 10th house. Conventional. Communication is very strong, strong-minded, constructive, practical, strong sense of hero. Can adapt to different types of people, career-oriented, intellectually stimulating, could travel often for work. Okay, so Venus with Pisces, 12th house, very romantic, daydreamer, love rather than experiencing it, or likes to daydream rather than experience love. Love of poetry, art, music, and fantasy. Loves vintage styles, falls hard in love, emotional, sensitive, content with leading a private life, possibly a secret affair. Secret affair in there.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yep. Okay, so Mars in Aquarius in the 11th house, constantly breaking rules, especially those made by strict authority. Progressive, modern, wanting to tear down the old and build something new, well controlled, always something up her sleeve, definite goals and objectives, a leader in the circle, in her circle. So we have Jupiter in Aries, the first house. This is the house of expansion through challenge, headstrong, views life as endless opportunity for growth, cheerful disposition, success socially, inspires confidence, optimistic, lucky. Things usually turn out the way that she'd like them to for the best. Sometimes self-indulgent and also gullible.
Robin, can I ask really quick?
Yeah.
So far in what you've been seeing between the sidereal and the Western chart of Michelle Obama's, she's obviously a true Capricorn.
Yes.
But is she falling closer to Aquarius on both on
Yes.
the other chart? Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Definitely.
What are some of the differences that we're seeing in lieu of the planetary and sign placements between the tropical and the sidereal? What shifts are we seeing between those planets, the planets and the signs?
You mean what am I feeling as I'm doing them? Because I can't look. There is definitely a shift. I think it is, like you said, more into Aquarius
Okay.
than it is Capricorn. I mean, she's definitely headstrong in both of them.
Okay.
One is a little bit overly, like I feel like the Western is a little too strong, is what I'm trying to say. But we'll keep going and see what you think. I just think it's off. I definitely think it's off. I think she's more sidereal.
Really? Okay.
So Saturn in Aquarius, 11th house, solitary path, often alone, with rigid, unconventional views, may fit awkwardly in society, forms true friendships determined to reach objectives. Uranus, Virgo, 6th house, interest in unconventional healing and health fads, seeks to modernize undated practices, can revolutionize creativity, new methods of original ideas, sometimes erratic and impatient. Neptune in Scorpio, 8th house. The urge to sublimate personal power into religious or spiritual experiences, subject to delusion, hidden secrets, escapist tendencies, visionary that seeks to give life more meaning, mediumship, idealist approach to help others. What are you picking up, Amy? Anything? I hear you over there.
She's a few years older than me, and so we share generationally those planets in different positions. This is Western wise.
Okay.
Sidereal. I'm different.
You're different.
With those with Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. But seeing this, it's interesting. Her placements in this chart for Western is where I would be in Western. I would be, yeah, I would be Neptune and Scorpio. And I think Uranus and Pluto, I think were in Virgo, I believe, for Western, for
I'm in Pluto now. Yeah, Virgo, 6th house. Battle of free love, concerned about pollution, the planet, health issues, medicine, health,
Mhm.
the gift of healing, arts, and work to inspire others. So basically, I'm reading your chart, Amy. Is that what you're
You're not.
so
I'm nowhere near like Michelle Obama.
Chiron in Pisces.
Mm,
The wound is a loss of the union with the divine. Healing comes from recognizing oneself as the divine and interpreting this into everyday life. Her south node, Capricorn, the soul has gained authority but must leave behind authoritarianism.
mm,
North node is in Cancer, the path of nurture. The soul is learning to care for itself and those that are around it. So that's where that is. And then, like, when I did her crystals, because I did the same thing for the Western, and she was heavy. The one thing on this one was fire was low. She only had one fire, 5 earth, 3 air, 4 water. So,
wow. So she has
I
a
know.
little bit more water.
Yeah, she had more water.
Huh.
Fire, she needs vitality, creativity. So red jasper, amber, rhodochrosite, fire agate, spinel, red spinel, and citrine. Those are what I would recommend for somebody.
So when you do a chart reading for a client, you incorporate
Crystal
crystals and stones to help for the balancing of the elements?
for the balancing, yeah. I just started doing that actually. I always do them in my regular readings that if they're not astrology.
Yes.
So, it just feels kind of natural because people usually ask anyway
Okay.
what I recommend. So,
Wow.
I did that.
Any thoughts, Julie and Patrick? I have some questions, but I want to get your feedback, just overall.
Okay. First thing I noticed was the
Should I get you
sidereal.
sidereal, Julie? Do you want to
Huh?
see? Do you want to see the sidereal chart to make reference?
No, I'm just gonna just make a general
Go
thing
for it.
that I picked up from
Yeah.
listening. I felt like the sidereal was more her, and
That's what I said.
there was a lot of things that were hidden in her chart. Like when you look at that, there's a lot of planets below the horizon. Like we only saw a portion of Michelle Obama.
That's what I think. Yeah.
And look at how many planets she has on her left side of her chart. These are all things that she has control over. And things don't just happen to Michelle Obama. She has, parts that she doesn't show, but she also has the power to change things in the world. And that's what I'm seeing in her chart. And also, I like the idea of her being this kind of protector, mother vulture
Yeah,
person
she is.
over a Capricorn person. I feel like she was this mother kind of
Yeah.
for the whole nation, really,
Yes.
when she was in. Yeah,
And there was a lot
that's what I
hidden.
picked up.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we didn't see very much of the real Michelle, that she had to keep that private just for her own sanity. But the other chart felt so judgmental towards her.
Yeah, it
And
did.
and I feel like, okay, that feels like the old way of looking at everything.
Patriarchy.
And
Yeah.
then right. And then because I don't see her as being into a dictatorship or,
Mm-mm.
I don't think that was her at all. And I feel like I like the sidereal chart for her better, but that tends to be my bias.
Do you
That's what
think
I think too.
if she ran for president, that the tropical chart would be of more benefit to her?
No.
No?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Just because of the strength.
She still had strength in Sidereal.
Yeah, she
She's-
did.
Still
And I
there.
think the thing to remember about it is that the strength, if you're seeing the strength right in the tropical, it's not actual. And so
Correct.
she's always going to be. So hearing Robin go through that process it's so interesting because it reminds me a little bit of like,
Back to
you know,
Sidereal.
if you look at the weather that's predicted in a farmer's almanac for the day you were born, and that farmer's almanac was written a year before it was ever printed and released. It's predictive, right? It's a prediction. It's a projection. But then what happened? What was the weather? What was the actual weather on the day you were born? And so then this conversation goes to, is she the weather that was on the day she was born? Or do we tell her, regardless of what the weather was, that because the Farmer's Almanac predicted this set of conditions a year earlier, that that's who you are? And I think that really highlights one of the biggest, for me, it's one of the biggest threads of talking about here is there is this sort of predictive projection, idealized sort of correspondence versus, you know, in no way, shape, or form did the cosmos actually look like her Western chart. That wasn't the cosmos when she was born. It was the sidereal chart. So we have the discussion, like, how do you synthesize the two? Should we synthesize the two? What can we cleave out? But at the end of the day, I think it's really important to remember it's not that she's one or the other. The cosmos was sidereal, true sidereal. The projection is a Western, and so at the end of the day, I think it's a thing to sort of it's what I heard,
And
like,
the
what was
Western
downloading.
chart felt like a projection.
It did.
The Western chart felt like what people projected on her who didn't like her.
That's what it feels like. That's exactly what it feels like.
Okay. That makes sense, all of you. That makes sense. I mean, just to break it up like that. And I remember Athen was saying that the Western is more or less, like you're saying, Patrick, the word's perfect. You know, it's how people see what you're projecting, how you are. That's what they see. And also the sidereal goes more on, like you're saying, the cosmos, more of the spiritual, more of the inner side of who you are. Am I stating that correctly?
Yeah,
Or,
that's pretty good. That's really
I would definitely
a great way
say,
of looking at it.
Yeah, and it's not because it's what they see cosmically. It could be. I liked in your live. I thought it was a great live with Athen, and what you sort of started taking away and kind of commenting on. I was like, my head was just nodding when you were saying it, because it isn't that anybody is ever, like, if they're born in tropical astrology, if they know that they are a sun in Cancer in tropical astrology, the sun wasn't in Cancer. There's no way in shape and form that it actually was. But the takeaway is the sun was in the first part of the season of summer. And so there is some truth there. It's like that telephone game, you know. It's like there's truth to that tropical presentation. This human being, if they're told, and I was told I was a Taurus in tropical astrology. I'm not a Taurus. I am an Aries. The sun was in Aries when I was born. However, I was born in the middle of the season of spring, and the middle of season of spring, tropical Western astrologers instead of calling it the middle of spring, they call it Taurus. But it's not Taurus, it's the middle of spring. And so that is, I think, a really important part, because there's truth in this that is, I think, unfortunately getting sort of mislabeled. And so, and it's being mislabeled as constellation names, which is even more confusing.
Well, it's kind of like, Patrick, what you said when you were saying when they did that with tarot too, like the same type of thing. Remember we went through that? You were saying that about how they were calling different the illustrated and this and that, and they're
Yes.
going back and forth. That's exactly what's going on still with
Yeah,
this.
I think so. It's been so interesting being a part of the tarot community for so long because we've elevated our language when we describe decks. There's so many people who review decks, and if you look back at some of the older deck reviews, you can and then walk forward in time. It's just you can see how the language, we found the words, we're describing
Right.
things appropriately, you know, and it's what it is doing, it is creating less confusion. And there's truth in both. Like if somebody back in the day was saying, well, this isn't an illustrated deck, all those old decks aren't illustrated. Well, that's not true. They're illustrated decks, but they're not scenic, right? Where the card illustration isn't a scenic depiction trying to show you the meaning of the card. It's just, if it's a 5 of swords, it's just 5 swords on a card. And so it's not illustrated. It's just not scenically illustrated. And for us to get that lineage and that narrative of story, we have to improve the language. And I think we're in that space right now where it's an elevation of language that I think we need to keep nudging along.
Yeah.
And
We'll get there
most of
eventually.
us have just found out about this, and we're really just adjusting and trying to create language and create systems that will accommodate the real sky.
And it's hard because you don't want to sound as though you're trying to convince people. It's not really about convincing people. It's not about swaying people. It's not about it. It's just like we've got old language and new language, and it's just like moving that language along.
Right.
I think also too, it's just that understanding of, you know, instead of going from seasons, we're now in constellations. And understanding the placements of that. So when I was speaking with Athen, I did make mention to him that I work with both systems because for my practice, and I'm just such a strong elemental energy person, the seasons are really important for me. So as we go from the end of one season into another, I still utilize a little bit of that aspect for the tropical astrology, but finding exactly sign placements, actual natal, the sidereal has been interesting, you know, and I'm opening up to it. It's just getting out of that conditioning of when, you know, we looked at horoscopes in the magazines and newspapers. Now on YouTube, everything is all tropical. And so it's also trying to get that awareness that you could actually be the same sign in both systems. Okay. And I'm going to put up here what Jonathan had. See here. I think this leads to what I was going to say is the cusps when you are a little bit towards one side versus the other. The way that I interpret this to people, and please correct me if it's incorrect, is if someone is, again, this is using degrees. Let me move back. I won't echo as much. So if you're in the early parts, if you're using a system that uses the degrees, if you're at the early part, let's say, of Aquarius, you can still take attributes or characteristics of Capricorn. If you're at the tail end of Aquarius, you can still take on those attributes and characteristics of Pisces. If you're right in the middle of that sign placement, I would say to someone, I feel that you would be the true aspect of that sign of Aquarius. If that is different for all three of you, could you explain to me?
That's, you know, cusp is a cusp. You know, you have attributes of both, and you have to blend them. And Jonathan was asking about houses, and I think that's true for that as well.
Okay,
it is. Yeah.
You have.
So you still go on.
If you have a sign that's in 2 houses, then you're going to have that spread out to 2 houses, and you just have to interpret it. I mean, people who read cards are used to blending meanings and having like all kinds of variables thrown at them.
Yeah.
And this is just another way of reading. You're reading the sky instead of cards.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you still
Yeah, there's no hard lines in the cosmos.
Yeah, no hard lines.
There's no
Yeah.
hard lines in the cosmos. Any hard line is a created hard line, and it's
I like
And
that.
that horoscope itself is enough of a framework.
Mm.
That's a hard line. That's your framework. That's your stability. And then everything else just sort of flows through it.
Yeah.
The horoscope itself is holding space while everything else is just kind of whirling around.
So
And
true. That's a great way of putting it. It's like the vessel for everything to swirl. It's the
Yeah.
cauldron for everything to
Yeah.
sort of swirl around.
I
it.
almost see it like this cast iron grid that is like framing everything, and then everything else is swirling elements and you know, like
Love
just
that.
alive and swirling.
Mm.
Yeah.
Here's
It's the
another-
womb.
It is, yeah, the cauldron. That's where the creativity is. I think this was touched upon a little bit earlier
What?
by Sadhana.
Can't read.
Oh, after comparing numerous charts, tropical, sidereal, what is your takeaway? And I think what
The real
she's
sky is real. That's what
The real guy,
that's
definitely.
my takeaway.
Mine
Otherwise, I
too.
would not have changed my mind
Yeah.
if I hadn't
Absolutely.
been so convinced, because I had products that were Western astrology, and
Me
it was
too.
going to be an effort for me to have to move forward and change my mind.
mm,
And it was
truly-
so
Mhm.
completely real and easy and clean that I just couldn't go back.
Yeah.
It is totally real.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because this idea of channeling, right? And we do that, and this idea of working with Oracle and giving ourselves permission to sort of take a tarot deck and shuffle it up and let the seemingly randomization of those cards falling on the table mean something to us is so important, right? But then the flip side of that is some things, like the cosmos, doesn't actually have to be shuffled up and randomized and then presented as a birth chart. You can just actually go outside and look up at what it is and then interpret it. We don't have to shuffle the cosmos first.
Yeah.
and I think that's the systemization
Great
of
point.
astrology has sort of it's kind of shuffled it up. It's funny for me that I meet a lot of professional astrologers, and they're very scholarly minds and they're very intellectual, but then they're also interpreting the cosmos, which is, something that's of a strong intuitive muscle being flexed. So there's this juxtaposition, but you can see that the scholarly mind loves the systemization because it's
Yeah.
all hard. It's hard lines.
yeah,
Right.
It's hard lines. It's mathematical. It's not. There is the intuitive component, but it's been sort of watered down in some ways by being more of formulaic. If this plus this equals that's your, and we're going to interpret it, and not. I'm generalizing it some, but versus go outside. Look up. If you look up, you can't see hard lines. You have to think, you have to feel, you have to let it in. And it's a much more in alignment to sort of the intuitive muscle.
I think the fact that you have the apps, on our phone to just go up and go, wow, that's a constellation. And when you see it, I think everyone should do this on their birthday. Go out on the day that you're born and get one of these apps and just look, because then you connect to it. You'll see the layout on the phone and you're just like, wow, at that moment, it's not going to be in the same degree, obviously, because you're older, but you just look at it and you're like, wow.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
You take a different appreciation for it because it's there. And like, I know, Patrick, you're really straight about this. It's not man-made.
Right.
It's there.
Yeah.
And I love man-made. Like, I'm a huge fan of the constructs that we create as a humanity. In so many instances, I'm a fan of a lot of them. But then I feel I feel like it's kind of jokes on us a little bit if we think we can make the cosmos better.
Right.
We can just let the cosmos be perfect on its own. you know,
Yeah.
you know. And if it's truly as above, so below, then a system that we create for as above that's hard lined and all this perfect symmetry and everything's super predictive and no blending and all of that, if it's as above, that the so below isn't like that. Our seasons blend. We are not, as humans, all of the same. We all bring something different. We are much more so below a mirror of what is actually taking place in the real sky.
It's
You know?
true.
I heard that just before
I
you
love
said that.
Patrick.
Patrick.
Good.
As
That's true.
above, so below.
Yeah, as above, so below. Yeah.
As above, so below.
Don't shoot the messenger.
Right?
No. No. Sorry. I have 2 questions here from Magical Moon Cat. We'll keep going because this is opening up for more things. Any advice for astrology beginners on topics to begin learning to get a good foundation? Julie, squares.
That's sweet.
Squares.
Well, I've been working on this for 15 years, trying to get information out there about this. So,
Keep doing it.
Yes.
I am.
She's not going to stop ever.
I haven't.
It won't let
stopped.
her.
I know.
Resources are hard to find right now, but the biggest
Yeah.
resource is still truly the actual cosmos outside. So if you're just beginning, I wish somebody had told me long time ago, if you were interested in astrology, make sure you're looking up. Make sure you go outside and look up.
Yeah.
You'll save yourself
Look
a
up.
lot if you just look up, because then it's a lifelong process, right? It's a lifelong journey of astrology. There's no end to this.
Right.
But if you just start with your reference point being the cosmos, you're going to be light years ahead. If you're just beginning, then all of us that were entrenched in something different for a long time.
And my advice would be to be consistent and do it every day. Every day, because you'll see the difference.
Yes.
You just keep doing it. Just keep at it.
100%.
Be patient with yourself. There'll be times where you may have misread something and you catch it, learn from it, and understand and just move forward. Keep your mind open. It's very important. Very important.
Yep.
Here's one other question. Also, are there any situations when it's better to use one system over the other? That's a good one. Or not?
I answered that in the comments.
Hard no.
I know.
Hard
I
no.
know you did, Julie,
Yeah,
but I don't
there's
think Patrick and Robin saw. So,
Oh, yeah, it's probably true.
what do you
use
think,
real
Patrick? Or is
sky
the smile
all the
says
time.
it all.
I use real sky.
Okay.
I think the thing with the tropical is the benefit. There is a benefit that I think it existed. We
learn from it.
It has preserved. It is kind of like we didn't technically freeze the sky, but we sort of freezed the sky with tropical astrology. And so what that has done is, wow, we have so much documentation of astrology going back thousands and thousands of years because we sort of froze the sky. And it doesn't mean take it all as face value or gospel, but there's a lot of there's so much to sink into, and I think part of that is because we successfully froze the sky. So I do think there's a value in that for that point.
Yeah.
All right. One other question. Patrick, can you explain Sky Safari 6 versus Athens system? I use the app for my natal chart.
Yeah, so it's Athens. Athens has this. Okay, Sky Safari is just going to always be the natural cosmos. It's just what the cosmos is, and Athens software reflects the natural cosmos as well. But what Athens has chosen to do is there are no hard lines in the cosmos, but we do have to decide for ourselves when any given planet or the sun and the moon are in a constellation. And if you look up at the actual constellations outside, there are no hard lines to really tell you what that constellation is. And so there's the International Astronomical Union, or the
Mm-hmm.
IAU, which has created boundaries for the constellations. And that is kind of universal. It's out there all over the place. Some people don't like it because really who made those decisions? But it's
Yeah.
what you're going to see prevalent, and that is what Sky Safari uses. Athen has decided to look at the constellations, and he's done a lot of work to find the exact midway point between one constellation to another. And I say he's done a lot of work. What he's done is he's made decisions for himself on that. And so his system draws those lines. And so those are just a way of knowing if you're in one sign or the other. I think the best thing that you can do, I work with Sky Safari, but I use Athens all the time. And more often than not, I always go back to, it's anytime you're in any kind of debate over the line, between Athens and Sky Safari or the real sky, it's never by much. So it's not going to throw off your astrology. If you get on if you find yourself stuck in a space, or you need to know exactly when, at what time, Eastern Standard Time, the sun is moving into the constellation of Aquarius, then the question is always going to be, how do you?
If you're on a cusp, you're going to be cuspy anyway. You're going to have attributes of both.
Yeah. And again, there's no hard lines in the cosmos. So if you're in any point where you're questioning where you are, then probably the first thing to do is say, like, okay, I'm in the in-between. I'm in the in-between. I'm in that liminal space. And I do think my friend Kelly, who's also a professional tarot reader, has always said with tarot reading, and I really admire this, because everybody has to find the way in which they read tarot, and then they have to consistently apply that so that there's accuracy and consistency. So I think that if you're using Athens software, then you're just go in knowing that you are applying a midpoint that he's synthesized for himself. Or if you're using any other app and you're using the IAU boundaries, just whatever it is you use, just consistently use that piece. They're both using the same size they're both using accurate sizes for the constellations, so it's never going to be way, way, way off. It's not going to be off like Western astrology is to the real sky.
Okay. Yeah, it's been hard because I'm used to the timeline. I'm used to having those dates, and I'm still, that's my challenge. It's like, I need a date. I need something to work on that's accurate, instead of having, pick one that works for you, And that's why, Patrick, when you were asking me earlier about the Aquarius, where it is, it's like this, when I got this made up for me for Sidereal, it's using the Vedic system. So it placed my Pisces into a different place. But when I look at the true Sidereal without the degrees, it pushes it into my Pisces in the 12th house, which feels right. So I think that's really important for everyone who's watching. If you find these different dates and, these different
go with what feels right.
Whatever feels right. Thank you, Julie. Yeah. If it makes sense, it's like, okay, I'm feeling this is probably more like it. And look at the rest of your chart, then just stick with it. So,
And you can always use you can use Sky Safari, you can use an astronomical software, and you can at any given time double check it, and just know that they're using that IAU line, which is I go outside every night, essentially almost every night, to look up at the stars, and those IAU lines are very visually on point. If you do this enough where you're visualizing and looking up, it's very consistent, and Athens is very consistent, and it's very, very the gap between the two is very, very small. Your dates probably won't even be that off. It's going to be more over time that the dates are off. Correct. Because there's
every
the cosmos
72 years, I think he was saying.
Every 72 years,
How much did you say, Julie? 73?
72 years, 1 degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we just have to, find what works best, but also it has to feel right. And then it'll work for you that way.
It's funny, Amy, because those hard dates, I am the same way. I definitely like that was one of the biggest things, like untangling, freeing myself from that was actually a real challenge. Like it was really a challenge.
Yeah, it determines if you're going to be Taurus or Aries. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know which date. It's so critical.
Yeah. I get it. I get that.
There's a tarot reader who said that she actually planned the conception.
I have a client that did it. I have a client that called me the whole time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Planned the conception, like, okay, this is the date we're going to conceive, and then see what happens. And she actually, when she started going into labor, it's kind of dangerous, but she was just like, no, not yet. Not yet, because the degree is a little bit too much here. The child's going to end up being
was
like
she a Libra at all? This one was a Libra. Was she a Libra? Was the baby a Libra?
No,
okay.
no. But I thought that was just so fascinating. It's like, I don't know if I would do that, risking the baby's health just because of that.
No, just let nature take its course.
Yeah. I know.
Nature knows best.
Yeah.
I know.
All good. Let's see here. I remember Ram was on the discussion with Athens. What do you know about the North Node and Ophiuchus? We should talk a little bit about Ophiuchus. What's that?
Ophiuchus, is like back in Egypt, they put Imhotep up in the sky in the place where the Serpent Bearer is, Ophiuchus. And Imhotep was the designer of the step pyramids at Saqqara. He is also the person who brought medicine to Egypt. So you have these attributes of healing and building and architecture and structure all worked into Ophiuchus, the bearer of wisdom. So that would be something that you would be giving, right? With the North Node, something you're emptying out, bringing or giving the world. So
that's good.
Think about that.
Yeah.
I agree.
How do you feel about the positioning of Ophiuchus between Scorpio and Sagittarius? How do we see the relationship of this star, the sign in between these two other signs? Is there anything significant that it takes?
Scorpio kind of dips down low, and sometimes the moon will be very low in Scorpio and not get into Ophiuchus until later. Okay. It will take a longer time in Scorpio. And I see Scorpio as being like this very short sign because kind of like death, it happens very quickly. Like it's the poison and the antidote.
Yep.
So it's this very quick place, and it's a very rare sign to be. And it happens very quickly. And then you move on into this medicine and architecture and structure and the wisdom that you've learned from this intense moment in Scorpio. We don't need it to be longer than that. It's too intense.
My Venus and my Mars are in Ophiuchus.
Wow.
Yep. And I'm a Scorpio. Sun.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
I got a lot going on there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some really interesting placements there for sure. Yeah.
Yep.
I like that Scorpio is only really about 7 degrees. It's like 6.5 degrees in terms of sizing wise, because it is exactly what Julie said. Like it's it's like the poison and the antidote, right? The antidote is in the poison. And so you don't want to fill up with the poison, but sometimes we need to, inoculate, to a certain type of energy. So we get that Scorpio.
That bite.
Vaccination. The vaccination.
And then, the vaccination. And then we roll into Ophiuchus where we sort of shed like a snake,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Change,
and then I do think then we spring out of Ophiuchus into Sagittarius, and there is that idea of forward movement. Now we move forward, with Sagittarius, good, bad, and ugly. We move forward, and And I like that coming out of Ophiuchus for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want to ask because
Kelly going there.
because of the placement of where it is. It's between two very strong signs that
Yeah.
hold different energies, but they're still energies of movement and destruction, healing, and moving forward. So it's like I want to just get clarification. Where does Ophiuchus fall in between these two signs?
What else
It's
I find
arguable.
interesting about Ophiuchus is that it's at the edge of the Milky Way.
Mhm.
And so you have this this architect of the pyramids at the edge of the Milky Way, which was supposed to be the reflection of the Nile.
Mm.
And I find that to be really very interesting because on the opposite end of that, we have the high Ophiuchus, and then we have this very low Orion, which was associated with Osiris in Egypt. And that aligns with the pyramids, and the belt of Orion aligns with the pyramids. And you have this reflection of this Milky Way as the Nile, and the two. And what else is very interesting is that Upper Egypt was protected and had a patron goddess of the vulture, which I associate with Sagittarius. And if you look at Patrick's card of Sagittarius, you can really see the vulture.
It
Looks like a vulture, like
Sorry,
the
I'm trying to
wing
get
hanging
this.
down and the head sticking up and the
I
other
love it.
wing flying up.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
such a vulture.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
Wow.
And that's
That's
just the
something-
constellation. Like
Right.
the constellation itself has that shape.
That's
Wow.
something that the Egyptians would have put on the ecliptic because they would have wanted that in the stars of reincarnation. They would have wanted those back every time.
I have a question for you, Julie. The snake bearer in your book, you have as the magician.
Yeah,
Is there
I
any
do.
relation with the magician and the energy of?
I
Ophiuchus?
put this as the snake bearer because I have all of these feminine signs on one side of the chart. Like on one side of the wheel, everything is feminine, from the lion, Sekhmet, to Virgo, Hathor, Libra, Mahat, Selkit, Scorpio, Ophiuchus, or the Serpent Bearer as Imhotep, but as the child being born back, like the reincarnating Imhotep is this magician, the mother magician giving birth to
Okay.
Imhotep again, and you see the pyramids in the background.
Yeah.
And then I've moved forward with Sagittarius also being feminine as Nekabit. And I do that with my oracle. So we have half feminine signs and half masculine signs with some androgyny in between, because the Gemini is male and female.
Right.
And even Aquarius is very androgynous. Happy is very androgynous sign.
Okay.
So,
And this question's for everyone. In your time of exploring, experiencing sidereal astrology, true sidereal astrology, what are some of the epiphanies that you found, either within yourself and or outside of either being the same sign that you were in Western or a different sign? What are some of the things that you found that really shape-shifted you in working with the system?
well, I can say that having been a Scorpio my whole life until I was in Egypt and was shown that my sun was in Libra, I was very upset because my last tarot deck that I had finished was all Western astrology, but I couldn't be very mad because the name of the deck was Mahat, and that's the goddess of with the scales. And so I was given Libra as my sun sign, and then I had to accept, that I was moving on from that. And why else would I name a deck Mahat if
Yeah.
I wasn't a Libra?
Right.
and then move forward.
And then I took your place for the Scorpio.
Right, you did. Yeah. Yeah, and it just really fit.
It
And,
perfect. It
um,
fit me perfect.
Robin,
I knew it was a gift.
are you true Scorpio on both sides?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, what happened was I thought I was a Sagittarius, but I knew because I was cuspy, I felt the energy of Scorpio. I had
Yeah.
been feeling that even before all of this, and it just made sense. Everything clicked as soon as I converted to real sky, saw it, and I'm like, that's what I was feeling. I knew, I felt that whole thing. It was wrong. I knew it was wrong. So I was very excited. It was not hard for me at all to convert.
when
I
you
was Scorpio. I knew it.
are you actually, let me ask, are you Scorpio, like double Scorpio, triple Scorpio?
No, just
No.
Scorpio. My Scorpio sun. Is that what you're asking? I'm a
Yeah,
Scorpio
sun,
sun.
moon, and rising.
But I have, look, can you see my chart? Can you see it at all? That's all like, can you see it?
Wow.
how?
I am so Scorpio. I have a lot. Scorpio,
On the left side.
Ophiuchus. Yeah, I'm in there. So
It's a parade of celestial energy starting with Scorpio.
oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How about you, Patrick?
Stellium. God.
I went from being I went from being a Taurus sun. I always identified as a Taurus. I have a tattoo of Taurus. It was the first tattoo I ever got on my back, shoulder. And I had no problem with it. I really did find such a alignment. I always felt Taurus. And so when this happened for me, I found out I was an Aries. And I'm like freaking out, having the astrological crisis, and I'm like talking to my mother, and I'm talking to my wife. My wife is amazing. She's amazing on a million different levels, but she's listening to me have this crisis, and I'm like, I've had a deck out for years. I sit in astrological space, to Robin's point, every day. Like, I look at this stuff every day. I talk about it publicly every day. I was so mad and embarrassed, and I was just like, and then I'm like, and I got a tattoo on my back, and then I stopped spinning, and I stopped spinning like a top, and my wife was like, listen, like, what's my nickname for you? And I was like, the Light and Sound Show. And she's like, you are an Aries. You are a light and sound show. Like, yeah. I am like all about it. I always say my real job is to be a professional artist cheerleader. I love to I love that energetic expression, and it is who I am. It's definitely who I am as Aries. And as soon as she said it, I was like, oh, great, you're right again. But what I reconciled is Venus is in Taurus for me in real sky. And so the way I love is very much, my heart is Taurus. And I think that all of these years, I wish I had the tattoo on my heart of the Taurus bull instead of my shoulder, but it makes sense because my heart is very Taurus. And so
you have an art gallery as your home.
I do. I live above my art gallery.
Yeah.
I want to see pictures, Patrick. I want to see pictures.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Amy, too. You were asking about Scorpio, and I was showing you that, and I'm still Sag. I mean, I'm Sagittarius rising. It's still there.
Okay. Yeah.
So that if that was part of your question, but anyway, go ahead, Patrick. I want to see your.
Oh no! I mean, that's my the gallery. Our gallery is called A Little Mad. I'll post some pictures. Yeah, I did switch. I actually had a harder time letting go of. I thought I was a Pisces moon and a Pisces rising, and kind of back to the Michelle Obama thing. I always felt very misunderstood. I felt like people saw this Taurus self, but they never really quite understood that like my brother always describes me as the strong one, and everybody, like, I don't create problems for those around me, generally speaking, but I always don't. I always thought as a Pisces, like, wow, people don't realize, like, I actually am, like, I have feelings, I have things about, and I thought it was so interesting because I'm not a Pisces moon and a Pisces rising, which is what I attributed that to. I'm an Aquarius moon and Aquarius rising. And I feel so much better in that space because I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have to be misunderstood. I mean, I don't have to be understood. I'm a rebel. I'm fine with being a
Right.
rebel. I am going
Exactly.
outside. I am literally going outside the box. Like I don't, and it completely switched that for me. And kind of like the Michelle chart, it's like, do I want to live my life with this sort of Pisces moon and rising, which felt to me much more like an affliction,
Right.
or
Right.
do I want to embrace
It.
my Aquarius moon and rising and let it empower me? And so that's why I joke all the time with Julie, and I did when you had Julie on your channel. I'm like, let's do this chat and let's burn this all down. Like, because I am like, let's burn it down. I am so ready to burn, and I'm not really ready to burn it down. There's no burning down, but I do want people to know. I want people to have.
Great.
I want people to have the information to make their own decisions.
Yeah.
Right now.
That's
Right
what
now.
it's
Yeah,
all
you're
about.
getting red. That's Aries right there.
Fire.
That's
Right.
right.
Let's do this. Well, I will take your Pisces because that's what I have in my chart, sidereal.
Yeah.
And
For rising and moon or sun?
I have, let me think, moon in Cancer, rising Pisces.
Wow.
And it makes sense because I remember some of my family members. They said I would get emotional over some of the littlest things, and maybe that was because I would throw a tantrum. But as I got older and how I experienced certain things, yeah, I guess I do have a sensitive soul. And so, yes, it is being afflicted, Patrick, for being a Pisces.
Embrace it.
It's such a gift. My wife is a Pisces. She went from being an Aries to a Pisces, and it just makes so much more sense because she is one of the most thoughtful people I know and have ever met. And there is fragility. There is such a strength in the fragility of Pisces energy.
Yeah.
You know, it's such an incredible strength that I don't really see demonstrated in any of the other constellational energies. But it's also fragility, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, what's that?
My son's a Pisces, yeah.
Yeah.
So water, but different energy, Pisces and Scorpio.
Yeah, and he's Pisces both ways. Like he's a Pisces no matter what. He's like right there.
He must have been on the cusp.
Yeah.
He was at the,
Okay. It's interesting as we're talking, I'm seeing people putting their comments. I was once this, now I am this.
Yeah.
It's
it's a realization.
Yeah, I'll just share this really quickly. Western astrology has me Capricorn sun, Taurus moon, Virgo rising, true sidereal. Obviously we go
I love Holly.
But the Taurus is still the same. Taurus moon, Leo rising.
Okay.
I do think that it's really helpful when looking at this too, back to the language piece. You were never, think about it in this way. You never actually, the cosmos was never actually, you were never actually the other. We believed that's what we were.
Exactly.
And so you're not having to mourn the loss of a you. We're having to sort of awaken to who we really are,
The realization.
That's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I agree. Totally.
Yeah.
Okay. I was going to say something else, and I like Sadhna's comment here. She left, but she's blown away that her ascendant is in Scorpio, true sky. Now she's rethinking everything.
What'd she say? Oh, I'm blown away.
That's cool.
Wow.
Yeah. It is a blow. It does blow you away because I had an Aquarius moon my whole life that I thought. And now I have this Capricorn moon. And when I look at my symbols for Capricorn moon, it's the guide through the uncharted territory.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I do.
Julie.
This uncharted territory.
Yes.
You're calling.
That's I know. And all of the people I know who were Aquariuses are all guides to uncharted territory.
Mhm.
so many of them are readers, or they do spiritual
It's
work,
so wonderful.
and it's amazing,
Mhm.
really.
And your
And like
Capricorn energy, like it's
my
crazy.
husband
Your
who was a
Capricorn.
Pisces all his life, he thought. Now he's an Aquarius. He's always right there. Whenever anybody needs something, he's right
I love Peter.
there.
Tell him I said hi.
Yes. Hi, Peter.
Peter.
I
I
love
think he
him.
was watching.
He was earlier. One thing I'm curious about is when it comes to, I want to just change this a little bit. I guess nothing can be done. When you're searching for a career, okay, sometimes you feel like there's a calling, and you look at your 10th house in Western, and then it moves into something different, a different sign.
A different sign.
What's that?
A different sign. But
Yeah.
whatever is in your 10th house is still going to be, like, if it's a planet. Like, I have first quarter moon in my 10th house.
First quarter.
And so I'm always halfway there. My
Okay.
first quarter moon, I'm always halfway there.
Okay.
And one job spins off into another job. So anybody who's got a first quarter moon, you'll never be out of work. You'll
Me.
always have a spin-off from the last job that you did. And you think you're done, but it just turns into another job.
Yeah.
That's me.
Yeah, mine is Sagittarius in the 10th house, but in Western it's Capricorn. And I felt because of the work that I was doing when I was in Los Angeles, involved deadlines, involved getting things organized. I got very conditioned working in those environments. I did production work. So everything is long hours. Everything has to be done in an order. So when I read that Capricorn was in the 10th house, Western astrology, it's like, this makes sense. Because I like to get things done in a certain way. And if there's a mistake, we got to fix it and we got to keep going. So I was just so used to this. And then when I look at tropical or sidereal and Sagittarius, it still makes me think, because I know Sagittarius is the sign outside of being the adventurer and the explorer, but it's all about gaining knowledge and understanding and exploring in that sense. So in a way, this sort of makes sense for me, because I am exploring different facets of my practice, just seeing what can come to me that I can embrace, if it's going to work for me or if it isn't. If it isn't, I just keep searching. But for a career, I don't know. I don't know how that would actually work when you have a
That's kind of interesting, because you think about what that would look like from like the side of a football field if there were no audio, right? In your space of career, what does a Sagittarius look like tackling whatever it is they're doing for a job versus what a Capricorn might look like? And what you're describing that you were like is you were going, you were getting it done, you were moving, there's a mobility to what was happening. That is much more Sagittarius in a visual form than Capricorn, which Capricorn is much more still, taking in information, surveying the land. Capricorn, there's a much more of a let me survey the space. Let me survey this space. It's not nearly as like how you just described you, which was I was going, I was getting it done, I was going in there. That's kind of like firefighter energy, which is very Sagittarius energy.
So you just made yourself think you were supposed to be Capricorn, but you were really being in your sign. You were really doing what you needed to do to get everything done as a Sagittarian.
I don't know. I was just feeling, because of the order, everything was very rigid. Everything, like I said, we had to stay within parameters of doing things, and we can't fall behind. So I think about that, the Saturnian energy of Capricorn. Even though Capricorn, it rules the 10th house, right? Yes, no?
Depends on how you look at it. Yeah, if you assign those rulerships, but yeah.
And so
Where's Mercury? Where's Mercury in your chart?
Sidereal, it is in Taurus. So that makes sense, maybe a little
there
bit.
It is. There's the methodicalness right there, the slow and steady, the do it all. Because Mercury would be where your brain is, right?
Correct.
And what you're so in Taurus. Yeah.
That means
Yeah.
there's structure,
That makes sense.
stability.
Hmm. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
does make sense.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
does.
We're getting questions about empty houses. That's always something that's not clear for a lot. For people who look at their charts, it doesn't mean that you don't have anything going on, correct?
Right.
Right.
It's just
Right.
going to mean whatever the sign blended with the house meaning.
Can you
So
give an
you're just
example?
creating
Just-
say you have nothing in your house of relationships. Doesn't mean that you'll never get married. It's just that the partnership is described by whatever the sign is. You know, it doesn't mean that there's
Right.
nothing happening there. Just
Yeah.
look to that sign as the description for what the partnerships will be like.
It's the flavor. It's like the default flavor.
Right.
There's no activation by a planet, but
Mhm.
but
But
that
it's still
doesn't
there.
mean it has a flavor on its own. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
Okay.
and that
Robin?
flavor is the sign
Mhm.
that the sign
And
is
that's
that the
what
house.
were you going to say? You were going to ask me?
Your thoughts too on empty houses.
Yeah, the same thing. I agree with Julie and Patrick, but I just think that a lot of times that's not what your soul is supposed to be working on right now. I mean, it's fine, like Julie said. It doesn't mean
Mhm.
you're not going to have a relationship,
Right.
but
It's just not going to be that important.
right,
Like,
it's not the focus.
that's the focus, right? Not the focus.
So when there's stelliums in houses,
That's where your work is.
yes.
That's a hot mess.
There's
That's what
definitely stuff going on there.
Robin.
It's a hot mess.
Yeah.
That's what that's called.
Yeah. In some ways, it's almost like the celestial bodies in the houses. When something's there, that's kind of where you're looking to see where there's disruption. You know, that's an active volcano of sorts. Whereas all the houses that have nothing happening in them, they're kind of going to be kind of smooth. They're going to be
Yeah.
consistent throughout your life. They're going to have this flavor throughout your life. You're going to have a relationship, but it's probably never going to be extremely like one way or another because the
Right.
planet isn't there. You know,
Okay.
it's just kind of level. It's baseline. In some ways,
Yeah.
I think there could be more positive associations to having houses in some ways. I think a case could be made for that.
Mhm.
It's interesting also. I remember looking at a chart. This is a European musician. This was a few years ago, who had a history of drinking, you know, a rougher life. And I typed in his name just to see the chart. Everything was squished in like one area. Everything was just like, it looked like all of the planets and signs were all in these few houses. Everything else was empty. And I think it was like in the 11th, 12th house, a lot of stuff.
You had a lot of work.
Of addiction and whatnot.
hiding.
Everything else was open, maybe a few planets and signs in some of the other houses. But to see a chart so aggressive and so heavy in one area, also
Wow.
if it's leaning on the left or on the right side of the chart, top and bottom, like you were saying, Julie,
Mhm.
Yeah.
is very, very fascinating because that really opens up
More dialogue with your
Oprah.
chart.
Yeah.
Someone was showing a chart where Oprah has a lot of stuff very strong in the career house, I think.
Mhm.
I don't know, Robin or anyone, if you're
I've
familiar with
seen
the
it.
chart.
With Oprah, I have it here somewhere.
Okay. I know
I
she's
really
very,
do.
I know she's very heavy with like
Yeah.
success and achievements and whatnot.
Yeah. Even Michelle Obama's chart had
Yeah.
a really heavy
On one
left side where
Mhm.
she has control over her life
Doing this here. Oops.
Yeah.
and what is private and what is public.
It's in one of these books.
I'm trying to bring this chart back up. Hang on one sec. There we go. Not that one.
Yeah. Not that one. That one too, but the sidereal one was really heavy on that left side.
Okay.
The side of
it's not
personal
allowing
power.
me to get to it. Here we go. Can I get to it? No.
Wait a minute.
There. It's not letting me get to it. But anyhow, you still looking, Robin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw that earlier and I thought
Let's
I
see
should have
here.
used that.
Billy
Well
Peters
done. Here
making
it
dinner
is.
right now.
Here it is. Can you? I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, let me bring you up.
Can you see it?
Is
Oh,
it backwards?
Bruce,
No, it's not backwards. Okay. Wow. Yeah, she's got stuff that happens to her, but
oh, the
she's
other
also
way?
got a lot of power. No, it's good.
Can you see it?
Oh, the other way.
Over here.
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
look
look
at
at
all the
that in the
power
second
that,
house.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and money. Oh, that, yeah, that's where she shines.
Yeah.
And communication. Her Mercury there in the money house,
Yeah.
making
So,
her money through talking
Mm-hmm.
and loving and shining light for people.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
would it be
that's
true to
powerful.
say that people they're born to be blessed? They're born to have luck, success, I should say. And some other people they just will have struggles. How do you feel about that? When you look at a chart and there
Yeah.
is someone who has had a hard life and
Yeah.
there can be some improvement, but it really doesn't show much. How do you feel about charts like that when you see something like that?
It's things you need to work through.
Yeah. We choose to come in and have these things.
Exactly. We picked
And
it.
yeah, and sometimes if there's a narrow path, that's because you've decided to keep this narrow path so you can get your karma taken care of. You can do what you needed to do.
Yeah, it's this fate
Right.
versus free will conversation
It's a,
that,
it's a
you know,
choice to come
yeah.
in with. I
Yeah.
came in with this a grand cross, which keeps me on a very narrow path. And I have to finish the things I need to finish, and I don't get to do things until I finish my work. That's
It has to be
the
earned.
deal. That's the deal.
That's the deal.
Yeah. Like I said I would, and so now I will.
So it's like,
And
I
you
didn't give
are,
myself
Julie.
a choice. No,
You
I didn't
are.
give
You're
myself
doing
a
it.
choice. Yeah.
yeah, there is some very fascinating stories that are out there of people whose lives have just changed, and they see it in the stars. It's just like, I was able to make this happen. I put the work into it. But like I was saying a moment ago, there are some people that they're just all what they see is a chart that's just showing doom and gloom, and they don't see a means out of it because of how life has led them. They know they have choices, but when they see their chart doesn't look like it's anything positive for them. How would you read a chart like that for someone who needs to really make these changes?
Explain what you need.
Well, it's a matter of wording, like how you say it. Because if you have a lot of planets on the right side, a lot of things are just going to happen to you, which is just wait for the timing to be right. If you're not getting your way right now, just wait, because that is that if you see that coming for you, it's a matter of waiting for it to happen. Like some people have a real, like, you've got to get out there and take control, and those are the people with all the planets on the left side, and that works for them. But it doesn't always work for people who have everything on the left side. You have to wait for the timing to be right for it to happen. And I have both, so I know that this is true. I know that things just happen sometimes, and those are the things in certain categories, and you just have to wait for things to go. And with a Grand Cross, nothing happens, and it all happens at once because it's all moving at once, and you have to make a choice.
Could you explain the term Grand Cross?
A Grand Cross means we have oppositions that are square to each other, like opposition between the 10th house and the 4th house, opposition between the rising sign and the partnership sign, the 7th house and the 1st house. So I have a Grand Cross like that in my chart. But what it gives me is the ability to see all those quadrants at once, and to navigate. Navigating squares is a matter of getting done what you can, even if you can't get done what you want.
And
And
get my chart. I'll be right back.
right. So,
Mhm.
you know, I can't always do everything I want, but I can do what I can. And then when I'm ready, when timing is right for what I want to do, then I'm free to do that because I don't have all these have-tos because I've already done that.
Yeah.
And it's just a navigating thing. It's just learning to navigate. And nobody's life is the same. And these are just different aspects. And,
Yeah.
you know, if I had a life that I could do anything I wanted at any time, it'd be too much. I wouldn't be focused and I wouldn't be able to work. So I have to have the chart that I have.
It sounds very Libra because you're working with what you have and,
Yeah.
you know, finding those balances.
It's so Libra. Oh my gosh, it's so Libra.
How about you,
Yeah.
Patrick?
So,
From Taurus to Aries, what are some of the things that you've seen in your chart? Have you seen any challenges, any blocks, any things that have shifted to you in a better way in finding?
no, because kind of to Julie's point, like for me, I look at this fate versus free will, and you know, look at my work around that kind of subject is more of, I'm a big fan of like the devil card in tarot, right? Because I like this idea of like, where are you abdicating your personal authority, right? And so for me, I don't look at any chart. I truly look at the cosmos as wholly benefic and conspiring in our favor at all times. So I feel as though if I'm looking at something or somebody's looking at something negatively, it's very similar to flipping the devil card over and somebody going, oh my gosh, or the death card and going, oh my gosh. That work is here in so many ways. And it's you, if I want to go swim, I live on an island on the coast of Maine right now. If I want to go swimming desperately enough, I can go jump into the ocean right now. Is it like the best ideal thing to do? No. But like, is the season cooperating with me outside? Is nature, you know, in tune with that? No. Can I still do it? Yeah, I can. But like, is it the ideal time, to Julie's point? And so much of that, when you look at a chart and you see some of those hot spots, or you see things that might look overly positive or overly negative, I always say I let that activate a sense of like, okay, this is a space where I need to like release control and let things fall where they may, and don't hold on to any one thing too tightly. So it doesn't really, when my chart shifted, my chart shifting didn't really in that way
Really? There was
become problematic.
Okay.
No,
Okay.
not so much. I mean, there are things that, like I said, like I really kind of miss about some of the chart, but I also am just like, okay, no, like I'd rather be in reality than versus like holding on to something I thought, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Robin? I know you were adjusting things.
I'm sorry, I was doing my phone. I was
No,
it
it's
was ready
okay.
to die. So I'm like, go ahead.
You are
I'm
ready to
listening.
die.
Yeah, my phone was going. I don't want to lose
Scorpio,
you.
ready.
Don't die on us, Robin. Don't die on us.
We'll come
It was
back.
like
We'll come back
infrared,
stronger.
like not even red anymore, Patrick. It was like that last little sliver.
That little hair
Yeah.
under the battery.
Yeah.
Gotta plug it in quickly.
That's what I did.
Very Scorpio of you.
Oh, I know.
To let it get right to the edge, you know.
And then bring it back to life.
Bring it back to life. That's right.
Yeah.
Question for all of you. When it comes to looking at your chart, this applies for Western and Sidereal. When it comes to looking at your chart, someone who's new, what are the things that someone should look out to really pay attention to in their chart? To introduce them to reading the chart, to ease some of the starting places, like which houses that they should go to houses and just see exactly where these signs and planets are residing. Would that be a good introduction for someone?
I think look at your sun sign, look at your moon sign, find out what phase your moon is in, and look at your rising sign. That's the big
exactly what
the
I'd say.
parts. And
The
the
big
other
three.
parts are spice. You know, they're additional.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
I totally agree with Julie.
100% agree. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because the houses I feel are important because it shows where all that energy of the signs and planets are, how they're behaving in each of those different rooms within that
yeah,
space. And so I want to mention that because I I would figure once you find your sun, moon, and rising, and knowing how those energies work with each other, work against with each other, how do they work in these certain compartments? And
right.
so there's some people who just like they jump in and they're like, I
They get
see all
overwhelmed because they're
symbols.
doing too many things. That's what
What
happens, I
what's
think.
that?
I said they get overwhelmed
Yeah.
because they're doing so many things. If they focus on those first three, go
Yeah,
from there, and
Mhm.
then work their way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah,
That's what I think
yeah,
happens. They
I
look at
think
it.
yeah.
Good. Go
I
ahead.
was going to say, I think it's so interesting that a lot of real sky astrologers, we talk a little less about the houses, and it's
Mhm.
interesting. They're important and they help us pinpoint that energy. But again, you have this idea that the cosmos and everything playing out truly affects all areas of not only our life, but the lives of those around us and nature. Houses in and of themselves are not cosmic. They are a
Right.
construct.
Right.
So
That's true.
yeah,
Yeah,
the
definitely.
houses themselves are human beings dividing out, 12,
right.
12 houses that are realms of life. And I think
Mhm.
that we've had a lot of different house systems for a very, very, very long time. And
Mhm.
so generally speaking, house one is the house of self, and house two is your resources and all that. But I think there's nothing inherently cosmic about the houses. So I think it's the definitely, like, the planets are the energy, the sign, the constellations
Mhm.
help explain how that energy is moving.
Yeah.
That is like of the utmost. And then if you want to find the hot spot of where that energy might be playing out, the houses do a really good job at helping us narrow that in. But I wouldn't personally start with like I need to learn about my career, so I'm going to go to house
Right.
10,
Yeah.
or whatever. I would literally start with, like, okay, well, what's playing out in your career? Are you having are you somebody like really motivated
Okay.
to have your career? So if you are, then maybe look at where Mars is, because Mars is going to
Mhm.
be talking a lot about how you express or assert yourself. And
Mm.
so I'd start there. Are you interested in a career where there's going to be a lot of sharing and dissemination and thinking? Then you might want to, like, before
Mercury.
you look at the house, go find
Yeah.
Mercury and see how
Mhm.
Mercury
Yep.
harness the cosmos and then apply the cosmos to your life. And I am definitely a fan of the houses, but I definitely think that I'm
Yeah.
seeing that a lot with true sidereal. A lot of us that are looking up to the cosmos, we're actually spending so much time up that you've got to also, like, remember, it highlights when there's a construct, or it highlights when there's a hard line, because nothing
Mhm.
about up has that inherently in it.
Right.
Yeah. With Athens, and you're right, a lot of the sidereal charts, they don't have the houses.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and they're applicable and they're really important. I definitely think that they're important, but I think it is when you look at the sun, the moon, and the planets, and you look at the moon phases, and you look at the constellations,
It's a
all
different
of that is a whole different frequency than when we start to
Yes.
say, okay, and where is that playing out in the human life
Right.
specifically?
Exactly.
That's very different.
I agree here with, well, Jonathan posed the question, then Julie, I saw that you replied to it. Um, I'm feeling more and more with the moon, especially finding
Oh, I
out
love the moon.
Pisces and Cancer right now. Well, not right now, but for me, it makes sense. And I noticed when the moon is in any water sign, Scorpio, Pisces, and Cancer, I really feel the effects of it.
Oh, yeah.
When the moon is in any of those water signs, especially
Mm.
my own, I close the blinds and I just want to be by myself. something
Mhm.
emotionally happens to me. There's like and then also my readings just go really deep, and I feel like I just need to be in my shell. And I thought that was just pretty
I love that.
potent. And so, yes, the phases of the moon, all of that, very, very important. I'm the same with Julie. I'm in the first waxing
First
part of the
quarter.
moon. So that would be my waxing in Pisces. So that's pretty amazing to feel all that energy. So,
There you go.
any thoughts about the moon energy?
Oh,
It's
I
really
love that
my
connection you've
favorite.
made.
Yeah.
Do you feel it? Do you relate to it?
All the time.
Yeah.
I can
love the
tell you,
moon.
as a first quarter moon, when we're in the last quarter moon, I can expect everything to fall apart. Like there's some kind of crisis that happens whenever the last quarter moon is happening. It's
I'm
always
gonna have
this
to remember that, Julie. I'm gonna have
crisis.
to remember that.
And it's like, okay, this is the dregs moon coming up, and we've got this to puzzle through, and we have to get through this crisis. And usually by the time the crescent moon is happening, the balsamic moon, I've let go, it's let go, and the problem is resolving itself. But it isn't until that new moon happens that I can feel like the energy has shifted and
Yeah.
relief.
Yeah.
And then that first quarter moon is as good as it gets. It's
Yeah.
always as good as it gets for me. And I think whatever
love it.
moon you have, that's as good as it gets.
I
And
love
then
that.
if
Me
the
too.
opposition moon is just going to be the crisis part of the month, then you're just going to have to deal with it.
But
And
that's
love
for
that.
you.
that's what anybody who has, like, if you have a full moon, that new moon is going to be the crisis moon for you. You're going to have to get through that. And if you're a new moon, then that full moon is going to be that crisis moon. And so whatever the opposite moon is, that's going to be the challenge, and you just have to get through it. But if you expect it, if you know that this is going to be a crisis, then it isn't so much of a crisis.
And you can prepare yourself.
You can
Right.
you can just go, okay, we can ride this out. It's going to be 3 days. We have this, and this is the problem, and we're going to solve it.
Mhm.
And you just, it's not going to be smooth riding like it is when your moon is where you like it to be, or
Yeah.
the phase that you're comfortable with. So, yeah, that's been my
Yeah,
experience
that is.
over and over every month forever, as long as I can remember.
I have a
Robin?
waning
Yeah.
crescent moon in Aquarius, but I love what you said, Amy, because anytime my moon is in any air sign, there's I have a very strong, like, it's
Wow.
marketably different, and I think it is because it's falling into some of these traditionally assigned air signs. There's something there. There's definitely something there. It's the first time I've heard that said that way, though, and I'm like, oh, I know that. I know what you're talking about.
Observant.
Yeah. But then to Julie, what you said, waning crescent, I find I'm so thankful because it's release for me. Waning crescent is release, let go, let go. But I'm so thankful there's a new moon following a waning crescent, because it makes the waxing crescent, which would be my crux, right, so much more tolerable, because I can get to that waxing crescent phase of planning because I sink into that new moon. If I didn't sink into the new moon, the waxing crescent would be super stressful for me.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Robin. Oh, sorry, Patrick.
no, that's interesting. Yeah.
How are your thoughts? I know heavy water for you, but how do you manage? How do you
I
feel?
love the moon. I can't even tell you. Like, I do my little rituals and things. I do the moon water. I have my crystals. Like, I'm very into the moon. Just let me tell you. Very, very much every day. I have to know where it is. So
Now, how about when the moon's in
Kinda
your opposing sign, right?
I gotta start doing like what Julie says. I'm not quite sure if it
Track
bothers me that much. Yeah.
Track
I'm gonna
it.
really have to track my opposing
Yeah. See.
Yeah.
and see how it feels.
Yeah.
Of course, you love the moon. You have so
I
much
do.
water.
I love the moon.
You have so much
But
water in your chart.
I know. I do.
The
But
the
here's
moon
the
was
thing.
probably more important to the ancient people than the sun. when
Oh,
it
I
came to
know.
the stars.
But that's when I have a lot of client activity too. Like I notice that more than anything because then they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I can
Yeah.
tell where the moon is usually by them.
Yeah.
So I don't look at my posing because I don't have time to do that. No, I'm just teasing.
Oh, there you go.
But sort of.
I figure when we have our opposing sign in the moon, so I think for me it's Cancer, so the opposing would be Moon in Capricorn. You know, I look at that energy, and it's like for me, I would feel that more of, here we go again, taking these emotions, taking these feelings, but these are the words that come up for me with Capricorn. Okay, it comes up with limitations, discipline. That's the word, discipline.
It's a structure and stuff.
Yeah, and putting
earth,
order. There's something with
grounding.
me when it comes to putting things order-wise. I do have Virgo in my chart, so that really makes sense for me when it comes to like putting things in a certain way. But
And
I feel
Taurus
it's
likes things a certain way.
true.
Yeah.
But there's, steadfast.
Yeah.
But I think it's good to really look at the opposing sign that you
Yeah.
have, because these are energies that we learn from, and that can show support for the other sign.
Yeah.
So I
Great.
think it's good for you to consider your opposing sign as well. When things are maybe a little bit on the harder side, for you at that time, look to see where you can find that support.
Look and see.
What I was noticing, Amy, is that
Yeah.
when you have, and it made me look at it because you said you
Yes.
had a Cancer moon, and I have a Capricorn moon, and I was looking at the mythologies behind it, and the Cancer moon was the scarab pushing
Yes.
the sun across the sky, and the Capricorn moon was the moon showing the sun how to move through the night sky. And I just thought that was like so two sides of the same coin.
Nice.
It is.
They're both guiding,
Yeah.
but you're in a conscious way, and I'm kind of in this kind of unconscious way going through like the uncharted territory of the imagination, and you were this very logical going sun like this scarab moving the sun across the sky, very directed, very like east to west, and this is the direction that we go. And I just found that to be like
That's interesting.
how great for our mutual awareness, how great that compatibility is between us. I appreciated it.
Well, remember before going live, we had that little snafu.
Long discussion.
Said, oh, I can take care of it. Let me see if I could get this to work. So the side of me is like, okay, I can't figure this out, and we're getting close to time. And Moon and Capricorn comes in. It's like, okay, we can make
I've
this
got this.
It grounded
do
everybody, right? It grounded us so we could focus and get this done.
Oh my God. Were you going to say something, Robin?
No, I said it grounded us so we could get everything done.
We have the different energies. We have our different elements, and that's why when I spoke with Julie, and then Julie was mentioning Patrick's sign, and then Robin, and it's like, okay, let's do this during the month of Aquarius.
It is good. I do. I love it.
And have the support, because I'm learning. I'm talking to people who have the experience, where we can exchange thoughts and perspectives, and just see what we can gain from each other, which is great.
I want to throw out there again too. You use this terminology from our beloved system of Western astrology called opposing signs. Opposing signs, and
well,
I
awareness.
think again,
it's more like awareness.
That's not the right word to say.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying this.
Opposition is so oppositional. Like
it
awareness,
is. Yeah.
To have something across from the other is to be able to see it fully, to be able to be aware of it. Like I told, Patrick and I were talking. I said, if you put us all in a circle, and the people who by birthday, if we put ourselves all in a circle by birthday, the people across from us would be the ones we could see the easiest. And the people to the sides of us, we would have to turn and look. And
Oh, I
yet
see.
there are people who would be standing near us, would be standing next to us, would be our allies. But
Right.
the opposition isn't necessarily oppositional. It's more like, oh, I see you fully. I can see you. And
Yeah.
you can
Sense,
see me
totally.
fully.
Yes.
But it's not a
Totally.
reflection, though. It
Yes,
could
and
be,
there always it seems to be a theme. The reflection is like one side of the same theme, the other
Mhm.
side of the same theme.
oh my God, I just thought of something really funny.
Hmm.
Set up. I have Aries and Libra, and then I have Robin here with Scorpio water, and I'm an earth sign, but we have water and water here with my moon and rising, just like above and below.
Wow.
How interesting.
That is good. That's wonderful.
I just
It's
thought
We're
really,
of-
all supposed to be
I
here.
think
This
it's
is
beautiful. Yeah.
oneness. Yes, I love it.
Yes, I do too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
We're
feels
helping
there's
each other.
something that synchronistically happened here for that to take
Yes,
place, and
I agree.
it's kind of a
With the sun in Aquarius.
with the
Very
sun in
Yeah.
synchronistic.
Aquarius. Also, the incoming going to win era. That's what I said to somebody yesterday. They were like, "Well, it's still Pisces. It's still Pisces." I was like, Aquarius is going to win this battle.
That's right.
Like we are going to be in the like Pisces. The era of Pisces is holding on for dear life, and it's going to keep
It's
doing that
gone.
for a little bit. But it's going away. It's gone. Like
done.
we're not
Yeah.
even getting the Pisces era right now. We're getting the fight of
That's
Pisces.
right. That's
the
right.
the
The
last
clinging, like
yes, yeah.
scratching
right,
to stay in
Patrick.
power.
Yeah.
Julie,
Yes,
I know
yeah.
you made a
I
comment
agree.
to Athens regarding the age that we're in, and I think
Yes.
you both
That was
saw it
wonderful that
differently.
she did. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
He said something about the sun was in Pisces
Yeah.
during the equinox, and therefore that it was still the Piscean age. But
Mhm.
the ancient people would have been observing what
Right.
constellation was at the horizon at equinox.
Mhm.
And they would have been looking an hour before dawn, because you can't see what constellation is on the equinox if it's daytime and the sun is up. You
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
see. So you would be observing the constellation at the horizon at equinox an hour before the sun rises.
Yeah.
And that is Aquarius.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
if we look at our life, look how much has changed.
I
I mean,
know.
even if we go back even as far as the end of the divine right of kings, and then onward, we had people like coming to a different continent. We had people
I
commingling
love
with
it.
other people who and language barriers. And look at how far we've come with learning to communicate. Now we have this instant communication anywhere, anytime, all the time.
Yeah.
And we've never had so much ease of communication and the ability to see other people's worldview and understand other people's worldview.
Yes.
This is harmony. This is how we achieve harmony. And
Yep.
the divide and conquer is not going to work anymore. And that's the Piscean age of divide and conquer that we've had since, I will say, since the Roman Empire began,
Yep.
and since the Romans. And that's where I have as my deadline from Piscean age, is beginning with the Roman Empire in 753 BC.
Mhm.
Where do you
And
have the Pisces age ending in your timeline?
1900.
Yeah, that makes
1900, but
sense.
I
Yeah.
say flavorings of it have been happening since the Revolutionary War in
Yeah.
America.
That makes total sense. Yeah.
I can't wait till that deck is out, Julie. When's it coming?
I know, I'm working as fast as I
I
can.
know.
I'm
How
can't
many?
wait.
How many? Like how many hundreds of of illustrations and
Oh my gosh.
432 cards.
Yes.
Divided
it. I
into
can't wait.
12. There's 12 sections. And
wow.
there's 12 little booklets that go with it. And
Ah,
I'm actually writing through 12 ages. So I'm focusing right now on the houses and going through 12 ages, going back, and just making a storyline through there. And I've had to
Mhm.
change some cards. It's like, that doesn't work. Oop, I lost my ear.
Mhm.
That doesn't work. I've got to change that. It should be this. And
Mm.
so, and I
That's
do.
so
And
nice. I can't wait. It's gonna be
yeah,
great.
I'm actually like surprised by what I'm finding and enlightened by what I'm finding just
Hmm.
from the placements, just using it as kind of like a divination tool.
Mhm.
And it's been
That's good.
fun.
That's
That's
helping
It's been
cool.
you.
fun.
That's helping you direct the deck
Yeah.
where you most need to,
Oh,
right?
that's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
In
It's really,
it's going to be so cool to see it as a whole, because talking about how there are no hard lines in between these eras, it, you know, if it's kind of like a season, the start, the middle, and an end of an era, and the ending period of each of the eras is going to sort of, there's going to be this sort of fight that this
yeah.
Mhm.
era, this
Yeah.
transition has going before it's, and then even the beginning of an era is going to be having to navigate the fight of the previous era. So
Yep.
it's really the middle section, just like the seasons, the middle section of a season that's fixed is going to be the full expression of
Mhm.
Exactly.
that era,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know,
It's
which is so
amazing.
cool. Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
So excited about it.
That is
I've been
exciting.
having a blast doing this.
Yeah.
I've been
That's so
having a
good,
blast.
Julie. I can't
This is the
wait.
biggest project you've ever done, right?
It's
Yes.
huge. I
Yes.
can't. This is huge.
Wow. It's crazy. But
Would you
it's good.
would you
It
see any
is.
travels in the meantime while you're creating this that could it
No, I think I'm pretty grounded until this is done. And then
Yeah.
I think when it's done, then I'll get to travel. I think
We're doing a
think
road
that's when
trip.
I'll get to
Let's all
travel.
go. Let's go.
I know we need a field trip to Egypt.
Yes,
Oh,
Oh, wouldn't
yes.
that be fun? Yeah,
Oh,
that
Oh
would
my
be
gosh.
great.
it will be
I would love
fun.
my
that.
dream.
Yeah.
Yes, it
It
will be.
will be fun.
It
It
will
will be
be.
fun.
We're going.
Yes, because when you get that deck finished, you'll need that break. But also, I think it's good to reconnect because
Oh gosh.
wasn't it in Egypt when you found the
Mhm.
awakening of
Yeah.
Sidereal? Maybe
Yeah.
going back there, and I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
feeling for you in that
Yeah.
sense that
Yes.
maybe
Yeah.
it's good to go back
Yeah.
there.
It needs closure. I think that would be nice closure
Mm-hmm.
to go back and
Yeah.
It would be.
have closure with all my friends. Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah.
We're going to
Amy, I
be
have a question
older.
for you.
Huh?
What's that?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir.
Because I just think it's so interesting. Like, I know Robin's story, I know Julie's story, and I know my own, obviously, around this awakening. But like, where's your hot moment where what happened for you
Oh
to
yeah.
snap,
I want to know.
to have this
Yeah, I do
clicking?
too.
Because
For
you've
Glad you
been,
asked that,
Sidereal?
Patrick.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because there's something magical there, but do you know what that moment is? How come this has happened to you, and how come it's happened
You
to you
know
now?
what? You know what I think I delved into it more was when my father passed away. And so I had already been in contact with Julie and I saw everything through Tarot Stash. And I looked into Julie's background, videos and whatnot. And also being aware of Athen Chimenti's channel. But I think it was the timing of my father's passing because my parents are gone. So with my father's passing, that's it. So I wanted to, when I came back, I delved into Real Sky Astrology, the workbook, big time, because I wanted to get some direction.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to see if there was something that I could have been missing from Western astrology. I'm looking for answers. Okay, here's the Sagittarius, I guess, coming out in that 10th house. I'm looking for answers, some set direction. I think that's primarily it,
I love it.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
and when doing the numbers being calculating my birth date and information, and then reading that my sun sign didn't change, but the moon changed. The moon and rising was really a kicker for me because I was double fire. in Western astrology. And I was really associating that quite a bit. But then as time went on and I was delving more and feeling more of a calling with my practice, tarot, astrology, connecting with the elements, elemental energy, it's like that doesn't feel like fiery energy. It is in the action of doing it, but the calling and the feeling, the intuitiveness to it, it's like something doesn't feel right. And then when I saw that those double fire signs moved into double water, and understanding those elements of Pisces, especially since I have 3 Pisces signs or placements in the 12th house, it's just like, okay, that's where my work is going to be done.
So interesting.
And I'll use the word that you said again earlier. It does feel like when you're Pisces that you tend to have an affliction.
Yeah.
And I'm not too thrilled about it, but it's especially in the 12th house.
Yeah.
What's amazing is it's happening, right? It's happening. Like it's going to happen at its own pace. But I just think it's so interesting having followed Julie and listened to her talk about this for so long. But I was so interested in the tarot side with Julie that for whatever reason, it just didn't until I was up on the roof and actually looking up. It like suddenly, I keep saying it's like she manifest. My inner conscious voice stopped being my own, and it was Julie, and it was like, oh my God, Julie Cuccia Watts. It's like, but it was like instantaneous because I started looking up, and I was like, wait, Ev, I know what. First, I was like, what's happening, and then I was like, I know what's happening, and why is Julie like everything just is here, and but I think it's so interesting to know what there's a moment that happens, because your hands on the wheel, you're you're living an intentional life. You are somebody walking a path of intentionality and being open, and so so many boxes are already checked, but for whatever reason, it's happened now. And I think that
it took this long to get this far because I didn't have all the Egyptian gods back in 2009 when I started this. When I started this path, there was no connection to the Egyptian gods and signs. I didn't see that. And it took me doing Journey into Egypt for this all to unfold. And then I still felt like I needed to do something else, that I hadn't fulfilled the astrology part of it. Like it wasn't an astrology book. And then the Real Sky Astrology came through. And then after Real Sky Astrology came through, that's when, maybe we should look at, do the houses change, or what's it like when the signs change through each age? And maybe that's something. And then the Oracle deck came through. Like, let's just look at it. Let's just look and see if this is real or if this is just garbage. And it's real. It's real. It's real.
Robin, your journey.
Oh my gosh.
We've met.
With Julie, you know what? I have wanted Julie's work for so long. I mean, I've been a reader for a long time, like 30 years maybe. And back then, the decks, as far as diversity, was not there. And, you would search and you would search and you would search. And I was very into everything Egypt. And then I saw Julie's deck and I was just like, it turned into my soul deck. As soon as I saw it, as soon as I got it, it was like my heart, like I can't even explain the feeling that I had when I saw the images. I just was so connected to it. I really was. And I always said that, Julie, it's my soul deck. It's my soul deck. She knows. And then, but I wanted to understand it more too. I wanted to understand the sky. I wanted to know all of it. I wanted to know all the astrology, everything that was going on. So then whenever she started and she finished the Real Sky, which I was dreaming about, I knew she was going to be done soon. Like I was so into it. And then the next thing you know, that's when my creation of that wheel came, because I wanted to understand the real sky that much. So I had someone do that wheel for me. I designed it and everything. And we put the planets around it. It was fun. Julie and I played with that. And we got the markers.
Yeah, it was really helpful.
It was. Yeah. And it really helped me. And I loved it. And a lot of people like it and they use it. There's so many things. That was nice too when we went on Amber's show and did shows on it, but it was good. So that's my journey. I've been here. Now
Did you
wait for
struggle
this
with
one.
Western? Did you
What'd you
struggle
say?
with the transition from Western to real?
I really didn't. I
No.
really didn't, because I think
Hmm.
I felt that. I honestly think, because I knew, because like I said, I was supposed to be Sagittarian, and forever that was me. But I knew there was a pull. I almost felt like I was outgrowing. I knew that the water was there, but I'm like, what is it? What is it? Because I am close. I'm on the 24th. So I'm like, I feel that water energy. I feel that Scorpio, and just my emotions and different things. I wasn't feeling the fire energy that I always had. It was just something else there. And then when Real Sky came, it clicked. It was like, that's because it was the wrong system. This resonates with me. This is right. I
Mm.
still have the like I was telling Amy, my rising is still Sagittarius. It's still there,
Yeah.
but my sun is Scorpio, and that is where we. And then of course my moon. We know what that is, Patrick. My
Yes, we
moon's
do.
Aquarius, the rebel side of me. But yeah, that's my journey. Like, I didn't have a problem connecting to it. And the thing is, with my clients, because that's a whole nother thing, they understand it and they know that that's what I do. And I understand how to convert it and what they're thinking. But then I go back and tell them what I think, and they understand. So when I'm doing my charts and I'm doing my things, everybody knows that that's what it is, and they like it.
Yeah.
So that's,
Transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, transparency.
They like it. They know.
Yeah.
I just tell them.
You do both. You do both systems.
Not anymore. I mean, I can if somebody wants me to.
Yeah.
But when I'm doing my astrology readings, I'm doing the Real Sky.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tell them that. Like, if they really wanted that, I could do it. But this is what I believe in. And my clients trust my judgment. So it's like, okay, Robin believes this, and this is what she thinks. And I explain it, and they get it. They understand.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't had like a problem with, people butting heads with me that much. And I don't talk to a lot of other readers that are in Western, actually. So it might be different then, but I don't.
How do some of the other astrologers that you know that are Western, when you speak to them about sidereal, this
They
applies
listen.
to all of you. And
They don't ignore me. They don't discredit me. You know what I mean? Because I've been reading for so long.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they listen to what I have to say about it.
Okay.
But I think I'm going to get a lot more questions later. Like, I think it's in their head and they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I get it. I'll come back to her. That's usually what happens, something like that. Let me think about this.
Yeah.
My tarot friends and peers do ignore me. They do.
For real?
My tarot
They
people
do.
don't.
They ignore me. They do.
Do they?
Huh.
My tarot peers, my people that I've known for a long time, they do ignore me. Although when I do talk about it, I kind of blow their minds a little bit. Like, something will hit and they'll be like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
That's so bizarre.
No.
No.
What I'll do is I'll
No.
just, if they're talking about it, like the moon or something like that, and I know that it's not in the sign that they're saying it's in, and I listen and I'll say, yeah, you're right, but guess what? It's really in,
Yeah.
I'll
Me too.
do that.
I'll say that
and then they're
too.
like, oh, okay, and then I explain it. No, it's really in this.
Yeah.
I
I'll
think
do that too, but I don't hold any authority over my friends who are tarot people. Like, they don't. But I'm going to do it my way, Julie. They're my friends, so they don't like see me as this authority person. I'm just Julie.
Yeah.
Well,
I can do all these things, but I'm just Julie. That's just Julie.
They have a joke for me, my clients. It's funny. Robin be knowing. Like, that's what they say, Robin be knowing. They'll like message me like a week later, Robin be knowing. You said blah blah blah. So
I like that.
I think that should be your
That's what they call
website.
Robin be
I
knowing.
like that too.
I love that. That's great.
Robin
That's
Benowen. I love that.
Robin be knowing. It's
Oh my
so
God.
funny.
You got it right there. And that's
They
all they'll
do.
say. They don't want to say
It's
anymore.
so funny. Sometimes they put that on post too. You'll see it, Julie. It's so funny. You'll know what it means when you see it. Robin be knowing.
Oh,
That's
my
so great.
It's good though. Like when I do my readings and I do put in astrology, and the astrology that I am putting in, just to let you all know, I am incorporating sidereal, true sidereal, so I can get into the practice of it
Good.
and getting my head around it. When I explain to people, I have a deck here, an astrology deck that's broken into the signs, planets, and houses. So where I read at, I put the current placements of the signs for true sidereal. So what our sun is in, our moon
That's
is in,
good.
it's right there on my table.
That's what my
So
wheel
Yeah.
does. Go ahead.
it's
Sorry.
a bit of a, what's that?
No, that's what I was doing with the wheel, but go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Oh.
listening.
It's a bit of a good cheat for me, because if I need to make reference, because there's so much information when I'm doing a reading, I just glance over. It's like, and so for our moon in Gemini, and I go
That's
into the
good.
reading. So I have where things are placed right now. So if people have any questions, I have it there for Jupiter, Venus, Mars, so on and so forth.
I love it.
And I had a young couple a few weeks ago, where one of them was a double Cancer, and I go, "What's your birth date?" Sorry, I had to go with the date. And I go, "What's the birth date?" And I looked, and I showed him. It's like, "Oh, you're actually Gemini." He goes, "What?" He goes, "I'm not Cancer." And I showed him the dates. I showed him the timeline, and he's like, "Wow." He just got really quiet. He got really quiet, and I told him a little bit more. Him and his girlfriend. His girlfriend was a different sign as well, and she was really excited. She's just like, "Wow, that's amazing! Look at
She
this."
liked it.
Yeah, and it's just like, "Look at this, we're different signs," so on and so forth. But they were open to it.
Yeah.
Him, because he moved from Cancer to Gemini. It's a bit of an emotional.
Yeah.
But I like to see that people are open to both sides.
Was he happy when you told him? I mean, was he?
He
Or
was
he just-
melancholy. He was just like,
Mm.
wow, like he wasn't prepared, because he was so used to being double Cancer.
Right.
Having that water, and he probably still has, and I think he's probably cuspy because of that. So
But I
that's why
think that
he's
people
feeling.
like to know. Like, I think they like the knowing.
Mm-hmm.
They like
Yeah.
that,
And I gave
Being
them
enlightened.
I gave them websites and sources that if they want to go online and take a look and sit down, instead of having
Yeah.
someone say, "Well, this is your new sign and that's it," explore it, and see for
Right.
yourself. That kind of timeline works good. Just ease
Love
yourself
that.
into it.
That's
know.
good.
I feel like
One,
people that are interested in astrology are generally more open. I think the
yeah,
more bogged down you are with what you know,
Yeah.
and it makes it harder in some ways to be open.
yeah,
Almost everybody that I've talked to that is sort of mildly interested in astrology or a little bit of astrology, they already think that's what we're doing, is referencing the cosmos overhead.
Oh, wow.
So they're more surprised when they find out that what their favorite app is telling them, or the people they're following that's presenting Western. They're more
Yeah.
shocked when they realize,
Mhm.
wait, what do you mean it's not actually referencing what like
Hmm.
I was just out at the last full moon, and I was looking up at the full moon in Leo, and I was like, and they're
Oh
like,
my
no, it was a full moon in Cancer. and so, but customers, like people interested, seem way more receptive.
Do they?
Professionals,
Yeah.
in my experience, but the professionals really are struggling. My
They are.
experience has been that it's been a
Yeah.
big,
Yeah.
Why? Because it's just, this is how we've always done it. Why are you trying to change?
I think for me, it's kind of,
Well, they're
I get that
invested.
sensation. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
invested.
They're
Yeah,
invested, and it's an embarrassment to say,
yes,
well, I might be wrong about this.
yeah,
It's not what I thought. Or
yeah.
Mm.
you know?
And even if it is what they thought by using the word zodiac, that translated to a customer, that a customer automatically understand that when you say zodiac sign of, that you're not actually talking about a constellation.
Yeah, you're
And
generalizing it.
yeah, and so you can't really assume that a customer knows that that's not the case.
No, a
And
customer doesn't know that.
Yeah, they
No,
don't
And
know.
no.
and most astrologers don't know that either. I mean, I think
Mm-mm.
because there's apps are so prevalent now. The
Yeah.
astronomy apps are so prevalent and people are using them, and that's where I think the young people are going to go, truth,
Yes.
you know, the
Yeah.
real sky is what I'm interested
Agree.
in.
Right.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they're
Yeah.
they have the apps, they can see where everything is.
Yeah.
And they don't
Yeah.
want some artificial piece of paper telling them who they are.
Nope.
Like, they don't
That's
want
not how
that.
they think. That's not how
No,
that's not how they work.
no,
They're not wired
no.
like that.
No, they
There's
definitely
such
don't.
an interesting spectrum between like being interested to being experienced in Western, and then being like where we've all been, including Amy,
Yeah.
like where we try these hats on just to see, and we follow that journey, and we either continue to straddle or we don't. But
Right.
then there's that. But then there's like the scholarly. They've written 65 books, and they've given out a lot of certificates for people who have taken
Yeah.
their astrology class,
Right.
and so they've knighted you professional astrologer.
Right.
And those people
Those
are really like, those are the ones ending up in my DMs that are
Okay.
just like,
Are they-
you have to stop this right
What?
now. And I'm
Are
like,
they saying
Wow.
that, Patrick? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
oh, like it's wild. It's
They're like,
absolutely
you have to
wild.
stop. Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
but I think what my experience is just that, you know, I didn't go to Kepler University and get knighted
Right.
professional astrologer, but I think but they let me in because I've got this astrology deck. So I've been really welcomed by a
Yeah.
lot of professional astrologers, and my deck as a tool has been really popular. But then I'm like, I'm the wolf that was in the sheep's clothing that
Oh
they
my
let in the
goodness.
room, because here I am 3.5, 4 years later going, real sky it, and they're like, whoa,
I'm
get
gonna
him,
burn it down.
get him
Traitor,
out of here.
traitor.
Yeah, get him out of here.
I'm coming to where you
Yeah,
are, Patrick.
yeah.
I'll
Are
come
your,
down
are your
there.
earbuds dying?
Yeah.
Because mine are.
No,
Well,
mine just keep
fine.
popping out.
That is
Oh yeah,
nuts.
it went out.
Wow.
Let me show you this really quick, Peter. I don't think you saw this.
Oh.
What? I can't see it. What? What is it? I can't
Yeah,
see.
it says
Oh,
Patrick.
I'm sorry.
Patrick needs to do
Robin.
it. Peter says Patrick needs to do a list of all the stages of grief when overcoming the dogma of Western astrology.
Hi, Peter.
Oh my
Hi.
gosh, it's
I
hilarious.
missed you.
So
Oh my
funny.
gosh.
That's
That's funny.
formal astrological conference that gets held up. That's held up in Seattle,
Yeah.
and I've never attended. I came close to getting an interest just to check it out, but when I looked at the curriculum now, it's just like they don't even address Vedic astrology. It's all it's Western. It's the
Mhm.
International Western Astrology Conference, I guess.
Yeah.
That's not good because we're still.
No.
If I
There's
go to
truth. There's so much truth in all of it. I think there's room there is one table and there is room for all of this at it.
Right.
But our language could be in more alignment, so that way there's not any confusion. And I think that's like maybe if you're practicing astrology, maybe you should look at the stars, since the word astrology has to do
Right.
with the stars.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Right. If you're not going to practice, if your whole practice isn't describing the stars or the actual moon and the sun moving through the stars, then maybe there's different language. Maybe there's a different language. There's different ways to do this. Maybe you're charting out the sun's journey through the seasons, and
Right.
the start, the middle, and an end. Because the seasons have 12 components: a start, a middle, and an end. 4 seasons divided by 3. So
correct.
maybe it's that the sun, when you were born, like if they said to me, I was born in the middle of spring. When you were born in the middle of spring. There's this fixed energy that's really important part of who you are. That would be true. That would be true. I was born in the middle of spring. And then they said, now let's check the cosmos and see what was happening above. Okay, the sun was in Aries in the middle of spring when you were born. That would also be true. And it's just that truth conversation.
Mm-hmm.
What's
Crazy.
the best way to get sidereal out? Is there a way just to
We just got to keep plugging.
I just
yeah,
think
but I feel you
word
should
of mouth
approach.
word
I
of
feel you
mouth.
should approach these
Doing-
astrological conferences and
Associations
just,
and all.
you
I
know,
didn't go to that
until
one,
someone
Julie. I
says,
told you.
you know what, I'm open. Let's go ahead and have you bring, come in, do a speak about,
I
true
was going to
sidereal.
do it up here. Somebody asked
Well-
me to join one, and I didn't because I don't know. I just got a bad vibe afterwards. I did, so I didn't do it.
I mean, it is
But I would do
happening.
that.
There's definitely an awakening happening. I'm seeing it
Mhm.
every day, more and more people. But I think
Mhm.
it's coming from
I
the
think that
cosmos
the
is doing
younger
its job.
people are going to step up.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
I
Yeah.
agree.
Hmm.
they're
I
going to
agree.
just
The
step
young
up and be
ones.
the rebels.
For sure. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
with having that youthful, like, yeah, I like this. It makes sense. It's something different.
Mm-hmm.
The young generation's always looking for something different.
Yeah.
When we were younger, we're looking to do something different than what was trendy or commonly being used at the time. We want to do something different. We want
Yeah.
to be unique.
I think they want the truth. I think they're
Mhm.
I think
tired
they
of
want the truth too.
being
Yeah, they're
lied
kind
to.
of tired of like the BS, like
Yeah.
force-fed historical narratives, force-fed
Yes.
nutritional narratives,
All of that.
force-fed like schooling narratives, like all of these things. There's a whole lot of why coming right now. Like
Yeah.
why? What's your methodology? What's your reasoning? There's this spark of that, and I think that's the cosmos has always got your back because we've got a full moon this week and it's
Yep.
going to be in Leo, and while we're all saying
It's
the full
gonna be
moon
big.
is in Leo, right, it's going to be
Oh,
really
yeah.
big and it's going to be in Leo, and the rest of the world is going to be saying, the majority of them is not going to be presenting it that way, which is fine, but the young people are going to be like, huh? Like, it's not in Leo. Go out and look up. It's not in Leo. I
Yeah.
mean, it's it's in Leo. It's not in what are they saying? Virgo. It's going to be in Virgo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just actually not. Now, can you work with the energy and sink into that full moon in Virgo
Yeah.
energy? Can you do that? You can, but it
I
might be a
can't
spell.
anymore.
It
Right.
might be a spell.
Right.
I think our thoughts and our words manifest. I think we are manifesting
Absolutely.
beings, and we are a
Absolutely.
frequency. So I do think we can invoke the cosmos. So on the full moon, if you're sitting there with 1 million people on this planet behind you, all going, "It's a full moon in Virgo. It's a full moon in Virgo. It's a full like then do I think we're going to manifest that? I do think that, but I think it's still always going to be off. There's going to be something off
Yeah.
about it because in reality, it's not a full
real.
moon in Virgo.
Exactly.
And it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's right. It doesn't mean you have to change sides. It doesn't mean that there's any, like, nobody's being judged here. It's not that, but it's this, like, see it, just see
Right.
it, and then
Know
decide
what
what
you're
you're going to
doing.
do. Have your
Exactly.
clarity around it,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then decide what you're doing.
Make an informed decision.
Yes.
Right.
But
Yes.
I
what
think
feels
to
right.
get there, there still needs.
They just need to know.
That's why I'm asking some of these questions that I am. The difference when you're doing these readings from Western astrology into sidereal, because what happens is when we have true sidereal channels, they're just, and I'm not dissing any of them, but we need to have an understanding of both.
You're
Because
right.
then it's like, okay, why is it true sidereal? Why is it this? So I feel, and that's why, Robin, I had you bring up those two charts.
Right.
Even though it's a little hard to see, but at least explain
Right.
the different
But
energies.
Yeah.
So that people can go, so in Western, if it's like this, but in true sidereal, because of the
see, and that's what I do. I educate my people.
yeah,
That's the thing. Like, I will do the astrology, I will do the sidereal, but I educate them on why it isn't Western and what I'm doing. I think that's just our language, like Patrick was talking about, the communication part. I need to see where my Mercury is. Where is it?
Yeah.
Wait, Robin, what does it feel like?
I don't know. It's somewhere. That's Julie.
It's somewhere. That's Julie. I love
Who
it.
knows?
I love that.
Right now,
I'm going
Mercury's
to pull it up in a
Capricorn.
minute, see what's going on. Oh, man.
It's hard. It's hard because I agree with you, Amy, completely. Like it should be like let's have a conversation,
Wonderful.
and let's try to better this
Brainstorm,
and
figure out.
understand and
Yeah.
brainstorm, and I think that that's easier to do, but than it may seem. But I do think never doubt the power of ego, right? And ego, everybody's got one ego, and
Right.
I think that if you've hung your hat and sense of self and sense of professionalism on this, I think in my sphere, I see a lot of the true sidereal people. A lot of them are young, but a lot of them are, and no offense to them, but they're very loud. It's kind of conspiracy theory, like
I don't
presentation.
that it's
And it's not like Julie, like you this is like
Yeah.
Julie's my like open-armed person.
Yes.
Like be open-armed, like let's have a conversation about this. And but I can say I also understand how there's that push, because when you're constantly being told, like in their DMs and in your comments, you're wrong, this is phony, what you're doing. These are all things I've been said. I've been called soulless, that what I practice isn't respected, it's not a respectable form of astrology,
People say that
it's not true. And so there's a point where you kind of are like, but just look up. Just go outside and look up, and I'm
even look at it. They won't even like.
Oh no. But I'm 46 years old, so I'm more of that generation of like, I'm not going to have like full-blown meltdowns on social media. I just don't have that in me. But I do think when you see the younger energy there, they're still working out some of how they face those kinds of challenges too.
Yeah, the 30-somethings are going to make a judgment. That's what they do. Because that's what you do when you're 30. You make a judgment. I can't do it all. I can't be at all the conferences. I can't do it all and make the divination tools. I can't do all of it. I don't have the energy I had
Julie.
in my 30s. What?
We're here to help you.
Yeah. I don't have the energy I used to have when I would do all the traveling and do all the things.
No, I remember saying to you, Julie, that there has to be a legacy left. If you plant the seed, okay, and it starts sprouting, we get drawn to this beautiful thing that's being created or that's blossoming and that we're seeing. And it holds good energy. It's energy that we're attracted to. And we need to have forces like Patrick, Robin, and others, Athen, to be out there to just pass down the torch, and share our experiences.
I agree.
And that's why I was hinting, conferences, go to these large events where at least you can hopefully get a foot in and explore this, or even better, attend a conference like this where it is literally tropical Western astrology versus true sidereal. We have opposing energies, and it becomes not like an angry debate, but it becomes
a conversation,
an exploration of these different perspectives, so that people can sit back and listen and go, wow, that's a good point that person brought up, and so that we could see it in a broader spectrum. So it would just be nice just to get people like yourself.
We can do that.
A break, Julie, from creating, which I know you will have to at some point.
Well, when it's done, I will for sure be taking a break.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that is happening is as you shared with your story, Amy, the cosmos, I say it in almost every other post, that ring, ring, the cosmos is calling, it's ready for you when you pick up. I do think the cosmos is actually this return back, this rebel move to look up is actually so unrebel-like. It's actually it's the original. It's nothing rebel about it. And but I do think the cosmos is trying.
I'm still here.
You're back.
There you are. Yeah.
Somebody called and messed me up.
And it's happening for everybody in their individual lives. For whatever reason, it's hitting you right now.
See you.
We can hear you, Robin. You're in.
We got you.
Do I have to leave and come back?
You're back.
You're back.
I'm going to pop this comment.
I don't want to leave.
Have you heard the good word of the real sky? Let me leave the booklet.
Oh my God.
can't-
No, don't do that. It's not a cult.
Oh,
It's not a cult. It's not a cult.
cult.
It's not a cult. No,
Oops.
no.
Robin's lost
Too
again.
much.
Although
Some
I do
people may
think it,
call
I think that we need to, I think I will put on my tombstone, just look up. Just look up.
Guy who got you to look up.
Yeah.
it. And you
just
probably
look
will
up.
be, Patrick.
I know. I probably will be. I know.
You know.
To me, it's not this desire like conversion therapy or cult. Like it's more of like, I really think
Education.
like, yeah. And we have these moments, like I had the wake up call on the roof of my house. You've had the loss of your dad and this huge shift that somehow has activated this for you. Julie had this whole full circle moment in Egypt where she was returning back feeling so full and satiated professionally. And then Robert Bivall rolls in and blows her up. And somehow it happened where she then can like roll. I think those stories, and that's where I'm kind of getting to with all this, is for some reason the cosmos is facilitating this experience.
Yeah.
And it's going to keep happening whether or not we're at every conference or writing 65 books. But I think those stories are not getting shared because we're all doing the work of trying to figuring out the right language, when in reality some of those stories is I think where the meat is here. It's where it's like, why you and why now and why this, and so I want to hear all about why the timing is now. I love that.
Because it's the age of Aquarius, and it's
the age of Aquarius. I know.
It's time.
Yeah.
I have an idea, but I'll share it with all three of you. I hope Robin comes back in when we go offline. I just want to get feedback. But any last thoughts? I'm sorry, I said 2 hours, and I knew in the back of my head it wasn't going to be 2 hours.
It's never 2 hours when me and Patrick are doing something.
Ever.
Always going to be 3 hours.
I'm always just like I'm like, Julie, even when I'm not even I'm just doing my own.
It was a full moon. Peter wants to know.
Right. Comment from Peter to you. Did Robert blow up your world?
You know what? It might have been a drugs moon. I'll have to look up and see what the date is on that. But I know that it was a full moon when we were in the Sahara. And so by the time we got to the Nile trip, it might have been the drugs moon. Yeah, it might have been.
What's the drugs moon?
The last quarter moon.
Okay. Okay.
Just might have been.
So, shall we make this another visit?
Sure.
Again?
Love to.
Yeah.
And here's Robin. I love you, Robin.
Hello?
Yay, there she is.
Okay. Hi. Is there still two? Is there still two of me?
Is there still two?
No, there's just one.
One of what?
Nope,
Are
there's
you
just
guys
one.
here?
You're the one and
Yes.
only Robin.
We're here.
Okay.
Okay, so
I got a call. Somebody knocked me off because they called me.
Oh.
Sorry.
love you, Robin. Don't touch the phone.
Okay.
I love how our elemental sign associations are all absolutely playing out just in our little squares. Like
Yeah.
I'm like bright red, and Robin is like
They're trying to
falling
keep
all
the
over the
balance.
place, and
I
and Julie's just sitting there like, it's okay, it's all okay.
Oh, okay.
What's Amy doing?
Well, she's just taking it all in, and she's processing, and she's like,
Calm.
she's like really like, she's like so like air, right? Yeah, or earth rather. It's like stable. Like, I'm gonna create this space for us to all be all over the place.
Oh my gosh.
that
I
earth,
mentioned
that
there's
earth
still
quadrant.
Two. There's
I
still
mentioned
two.
to Julie, and
Here.
then she gave me the answer that you're working
I
on
don't know
this
what's going on with
400
this.
plus deck.
I don't like seeing two of me.
Well,
One's enough.
we need to get more books on Sidereal. I did come across some older books, like from the 90s, 80s. And
So what are we going to do next?
I couldn't read it. I don't know. It didn't.
I can't hear you. You guys are gone. Are you talking?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think you might be out of sync. Like, I think
Amy,
you might not be caught up.
I'm here.
I can't hear you.
I'm here.
What do I need to
Honey, I'm
do?
here.
I can't hear you. Okay, it's
I don't
back.
know.
What
Okay.
happened?
Okay, there she is.
I don't know.
I
So
can't hear
Scorpio
Amy.
intensity.
I can hear
Patrick, are you up for
Patrick, but I
writing a
can't
book?
hear Amy. Are you
What's
talking?
that?
I am
Is she
talking.
talking? I can hear you, Patrick, but I can't hear Amy.
Amy's talking.
I can't hear her. Why? I can only
she's
hear
not-
you.
You read
I'm
lips.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. That's just bizarre.
Oh,
I see her
that's
moving her
weird.
hands,
You're not
but I can't
like
hear her.
unmute.
Julie, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Julie, but maybe I can't hear you. I saw you shake your head.
I don't
Patrick, it's just
understand.
me
Just
and you.
feel us, Robin. Just feel us. You don't have
Oh
to
my
hear us.
God.
Just feel us.
I don't know why you can
Would
only
you
hear me and you
translate for
can't
us,
hear them.
Patrick?
I can't hear them.
Tell Robin to just.
That is so bizarre.
Julie says yes. We can hear you.
I can only hear Patrick.
That's
That is
weird.
so strange.
Okay.
You have
I
to
don't even know
translate
would
what they're
cause that.
saying to me.
They love you. They love
Oh,
you. It's all
I
love.
love them too.
So who's going to write the book? We need a book.
Well,
need
Julie's already written a couple
I'm
books.
writing the book as fast as
Yeah.
I can.
and I am writing a book as well. So
I'm going to
in
write
it,
a book.
so,
I
yeah.
know I need to
Okay.
write a book. I got to do my planner. I got to do my thing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
please.
call
I
it.
need to do it.
I'm gonna call it "Hold My Coffee" and let's talk astrology.
I love that.
hold my drink. We gotta talk. No, I'm
I
not gonna
love
call it that.
Yes. Are you going to write that? You need to.
I am writing a book, but it is a Real Sky book, but it's not. I've got to come up. I haven't had the download yet of the real title, but yes, I am.
Mine's coming.
When are you going to start
Something's
working
coming.
on it, Aries?
I get creative. Very creative.
I'm in it. I'm in it.
Creative.
I'm already, I've been doing it. It's been like 3 months, I guess, of
Okay.
writing. But
That's
yeah,
good.
so but I'm a weird creative. Like I have to ride that creative frequency when it flows in. I can't
Okay.
seem to do it on demand at all. So
Yeah.
it's not happening as fast as this Aries wants, but it's happening. What has happened so far, I'm happy with. So
Very
I
good.
forget where I'm at. Something I was looking at in my chart was telling me that
To write a book.
that I need to be writing right now.
Or just writing or writing a
I will
book?
be.
Oh, she can't hear me.
That's
What am I
right.
oh,
talking?
so Amy's asking you, is it like an astrology book or just to write in general?
No, astrology.
Okay.
Sidereal.
Good.
Real Sky.
I think we should come up with, I had this and I'm definitely going to embrace it with the things that I create. But I was thinking about it. Wouldn't it be cool if there was some sort of logo that was small that just identified, if you were in a Barnes and Noble or in a bookstore, like in the sea
I
of
know what you're
thousands
gonna
of
say.
astrology books, but that would be like wink and a nod, like,
Yeah.
hey, this is it right here. And like, I don't know if it's the Ophiuchus logo, because anything
that
that
would
has
be
a
nice.
few,
Yes.
well, because anything that's got a Ophiuchus, right, is going to be talking real sky. So maybe we don't have to do the work. Maybe it's literally just making sure that on the cover or on the spine or
That's
something,
a good idea, Patrick.
Ophiuchus is visible. Because if
Julie
Ophiuchus
already
is
did it.
involved.
Right.
Julie, you already did the
Definitely.
design for it.
My
Well,
Mars is in Ophiuchus. It's my turn. It's my turn. I got to do this.
Yeah. Well, it's all happening at the same time because Julie's
Right.
going, and so
Yeah, it'll all happen.
That's funny.
The
Julie
universe is
says
always
it'll
on
all happen.
time.
I know.
The universe is
Timing.
always on time, so
Timing.
we're right on time. We just have
We
to
always say
Be
that.
patient.
What'd she say?
follow through.
She's saying exactly what you're thinking. That
Timing.
it'll all happen. Follow through. It'll all happen at the right time.
I agree.
This is
Look
kind of
for the
fun. I get to
signs.
be me and I get to be Julie at the same time.
I know.
And Amy says, look for the signs. Like I'm feeling earthy and airy and
I know.
fiery all at once.
We're representing everything. That is so
Well,
good, right?
I'm also, when I talk about the signs, I'm
We're
talking about
representing it all.
not literally the signs, but
coming
look
together.
for things that may be initiating,
What's she
right?
saying?
Right.
That
So
are-
she's saying when she's referencing look at the signs, not actually literally not just the actual constellation signs
But
of the signs,
the
but just the
messages.
signs in life.
Yes.
Yes, the
The
messages. in life.
synchronicities. They're all
Exactly.
happening.
They're everywhere.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah.
everywhere.
You just got to be
They are.
there. Look for.
Truly.
Yeah.
Any last
like
words,
that.
anyone?
Just so nice. I love it.
Anybody that's watched this back
Yeah.
and playback, thank you. And
I'm
on the
out
full
of
moon this
nouns.
week, go outside and look up.
Yes. We'll look up.
Julie, how
Definitely.
about you?
I'm
Any-
completely out of nouns.
We have to do this again. This is so much fun.
Yes.
I'm having fun.
Yes. Yeah.
Julie
Yeah,
knows I
what
hate
Patrick
these, but I'm
said.
having fun.
Amy actually mentioned maybe we could do another get together again. So
That would be great. I would love
Yeah, we
that.
will.
That would be nice.
Patrick, can you translate to
We'll come up with
Robin if
another
she has any
activity.
last words?
Robin, do you have any last words from Amy?
I enjoyed myself. Thank you. It was
Thank
nice
you.
connecting with all of you guys. I love you, Julie.
I love you.
And I hope to be back. And we're all bonded and connected. Love you.
Yeah, yeah. And I would definitely echo that. Thank you so much for this, Amy. Like
You're
it takes
welcome.
Yeah.
there's always that person that pulls it all together. And so
Mhm.
it's
Yeah.
really important.
This
So
was
thank
nice,
you.
Amy. Thank you.
It's
Thank you for having me.
inspiration, you know, and that inspiration helps me
she
to
say?
continue,
I
you
love her
know,
hands.
doing the work and all. Patrick,
She's just
tell
going like
Robin
this.
to stay online. Because
Robin, we're going to disconnect in just a moment, but stay online because we
Okay.
want to have a little wrap up, just the four
Okay.
of us. Okay.
If I can hear you. Okay.
That's it.
He's going to do the sign off right now.
Bye,
Everyone who's
everybody.
watching, thank you so much for the comments. This was a wonderful turnout. The support of people from our own
This was
viewers, and those
nice.
who've been watching in the background, and maybe some
I
Western
feel like I'm real
tropical
small now, though.
astrologers that just don't want to make a comment on anything, but just watching, taking notes. I appreciate that if that is you. We will be back. This was our first
Are we
gathering
done? Are we here?
as a group.
Still
And-
wrapping up, Robin.
Okay.
And it's nice to have everyone here to.
Are people still asking questions? I missed it.
Robin, I love you so much.
What'd
So
somebody
I'm gonna
say? I
end
can't
because
see.
Robin doesn't know
What's he
what's
saying?
going on.
I'm looking forward.
Oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
What? What are they saying?
No, like Amy's doing this, like really the wrap up and like positioning, and you're like, I gotta take my glasses. Are people asking questions? Like,
I'm like,
this is hilarious.
What's happening? I
Right?
can't
Like,
hear anything.
she's,
I like so Patrick,
I'm
don't
like
make
the
me
clown.
laugh anymore.
I can't hear it.
oh my gosh, this is hilarious.
Anyhow, stay tuned, everyone. This is a wonderful way to end this. This is good on a light note. Happy Sun and in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, Moon in Gemini. Look up at the stars. Take a look at both of your charts, tropical and sidereal. Compare and contrast. See where your differences are. See where you are stronger in some elements of your chart and weaker in the other. That's how you learn about yourself. All right. So on that note, we will see you all again soon. Have a wonderful week, everyone. And again, thank you for the support. See you again soon. Bye.
I feel like